You won't believe these 45 famous black celebrity divorces that shook Hollywood. Hollywood's most glamorous love stories often hide the darkest secrets. And today we're exposing the shocking truth behind some of the most famous black celebrity marriages that ended in heartbreak. From explosive scandals to billion-dollar breakups, these unions prove that even legends aren't immune to the pain of divorce. Some of these stories will make you gasp. Others will make you question everything you thought you knew about your favorite stars. But one thing is certain, you won't see love the same way again after this. Are you ready? Hit that subscribe button, and let's dive in only on Legends of Black Excellence. Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown. Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown's marriage remains one of the most talked-about celebrity unions in music history. When the two first met at the 1989 Soul Train Music Awards, it seemed like a clash of two very different worlds. Whitney was America's Princess of Pop, celebrated for her angelic voice, polished image, and soaring ballads, while Bobby was the bad boy of R&B, fresh off his success with New Edition and solo hits like My Prerogative. Their 1992 wedding was lavish and captured headlines, drawing over 800 guests, including some of the biggest names in the industry. Fans initially saw it as a pairing of opposites that somehow worked: an elegant diva and a rebellious crooner, uniting in love. Behind the glamorous facade, however, their marriage was riddled with turbulence. Bobby admitted in interviews that he struggled with Whitney's fame overshadowing his own career. At the same time, Whitney, who had been battling her own demons long before their marriage, found herself increasingly dependent on substances during their years together. Public altercations, rumors of infidelity, and arrests made headlines throughout the 1990s, turning their once idolized relationship into tabloid fodder. Despite the drama, they welcomed their only child, Bobby Christina Brown, in 1993, a daughter who became the center of both their love and their chaos. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, the marriage had spiraled into a symbol of dysfunction in celebrity culture. Their reality show Being Bobby Brown, which aired in 2005, shocked viewers with its raw depiction of their toxic dynamic. Instead of polishing their image, the series revealed erratic behavior, heated arguments, and troubling dependency issues. For Whitney, who had once been seen as untouchable and pristine, the show chipped away at her reputation and made her personal struggles painfully public. Do you think reality television helped expose the truth of their relationship, or did it unfairly exploit two troubled people for ratings? The downward spiral culminated in Whitney filing for legal separation in 2006 and officially divorcing Bobby in 2007 after 14 years of marriage. In her petition, she sought full custody of Bobby Christina, citing irreconcilable differences. The divorce proceedings painted a clearer picture of the toxicity accusations of drug use, emotional instability, and financial troubles. While Bobby admitted to being no saint, Whitney insisted that she needed to break free for her own survival and for the sake of her daughter. Many critics argue that their union not only harmed their careers but also tragically set the stage for Bobby Christina's struggles later in life. After the divorce, Whitney attempted a comeback with her 2009 album, I Look to You, but the shadow of her marriage and addiction followed her until her untimely death in 2012. Bobby, meanwhile, continued to battle personal issues, but later expressed remorse, admitting that their love was real, even if it was destructive. Their relationship is now remembered as both passionate and tragic, a cautionary tale of how fame, addiction, and personal demons can devastate even the most talented stars. In the end, Whitney and Bobby's story stands as one of the most infamous celebrity marriages, full of highs, lows, and heartbreak. It wasn't just a union of two music legends. It was a collision that changed the course of their lives forever. Janet Jackson and James DeBarge. Janet Jackson and James DeBarge's whirlwind romance is remembered as one of the most shocking, short-lived celebrity marriages of the 1980s. At the time, Janet was just 18 years old, carving her own path in the entertainment industry, while trying to step out of the enormous shadow of the Jackson family legacy. James DeBarge, on the other hand, was a member of the popular Motown R&B group DeBarge, known for their hits like Rhythm of the Night and All This Love. Both young, talented, and riding waves of fame, they fell into a passionate but unstable love affair that culminated in a secret wedding in 1984. The marriage shocked many not only because Janet was still a teenager, but also because she came from one of the most scrutinized families in music. The Jackson family, particularly patriarch Joseph Jackson, strongly disapproved of the relationship, fearing it would derail her rising career. Their concerns proved valid when the union quickly unraveled. James was battling personal struggles, including substance abuse issues, which created instability in their relationship. Janet, who was under immense pressure to build a carefully managed public image, found herself caught between her personal desires and her professional obligations. The marriage lasted only about a year before it was annulled in 1985. During that time, rumors swirled about constant fighting mistrust and James's inability to provide Janet the stability she needed. Janet herself has rarely spoken publicly about the marriage, but in later years, she admitted that she was far too young and unprepared for such a serious commitment. Some insiders have suggested that the relationship was doomed from the beginning because of the immense external pressure and James's inability to cope with the fame that came with being associated with the Jackson dynasty. Do you think Janet's career would have been drastically different if she had stayed with James, or was walking away the key to her becoming the legend she is today? One of the enduring controversies tied to their marriage involves persistent rumors that Janet secretly gave birth to a child during her time with James. For decades, whispers circulated that their alleged daughter had been hidden from the public, fueling speculation in tabloids and fan circles alike. Janet has firmly denied these claims, calling them false and hurtful, yet the rumor remains one of the most enduring myths in her personal history. James himself has occasionally hinted at the possibility, though no evidence has ever been produced. The mystery added an extra layer of intrigue to what was already a tumultuous relationship. In the years following the annulment, both Janet and James went down very different paths. Janet reinvented herself as one of the biggest pop and R&B icons in history, with albums like Control 1986 and Rhythm Nation 1814, 1989 that cemented her status as a groundbreaking artist. James, however, struggled to find the same level of success, battling addiction and legal troubles that hindered his career. Their brief marriage, while a footnote in Janet's otherwise illustrious life, continues to be analyzed as a youthful mistake and a cautionary tale about fame, love, and growing up under the spotlight. Ultimately, Janet Jackson and James DeBarge's marriage may have been short-lived, but its impact was long-lasting in terms of lessons learned and the drama it left behind. For Janet, it was the first step in understanding how to balance her personal and professional worlds, and for James, it was a reminder of how fragile love can be when weighed down by fame and personal demons. Janet Jackson and Renee Elizondo Jr. Janet Jackson's second marriage to Renee Elizondo Jr. was a far cry from her youthful and impulsive union with James DeBarge. By the time she married Renee in 1991, Janet was no longer the young woman struggling to escape her family's control. She had transformed into a global superstar with multi-platinum albums like Control and Rhythm Nation 1814. Renee, a Mexican-born songwriter, dancer, and director, entered her life not just as a partner in love, but also as a close collaborator. He co-wrote several songs with her and directed many of her music videos, giving fans the impression that the two were deeply in sync, both creatively and romantically. What set this marriage apart was its secrecy. For nearly a decade, the world had no idea Janet was even married. Both she and Renee worked hard to keep their relationship away from the spotlight, avoiding public appearances together and rarely acknowledging their bond. Fans were stunned when, during their divorce proceedings in 2000, it was revealed they had actually been married for 9 years. Janet's fiercely private nature helped shield the union from the relentless media attention that had plagued her earlier years. But that secrecy also created complications when the relationship began to unravel. Despite their love and creative partnership, cracks started to show as the 1990s came to a close. Renee later claimed that he had given up much of his career to support Janet, only to feel sidelined and underappreciated. Financial disputes became a key point of contention, with Renee filing a lawsuit seeking millions of dollars. He alleged that he was owed money from their time together, including profits from Janet's albums and tours, which he claimed were part of an oral agreement between them. Janet, however, disputed these claims, asserting that Renee was attempting to take advantage of her wealth and success. The bitter legal battle dragged on, tarnishing the image of what many thought had been a loving and quiet marriage. One particularly painful aspect of their relationship was their struggle with fertility and family planning. Janet revealed years later that she had suffered miscarriages during her marriage to Renee, an emotional burden that was kept private at the time. This heartbreak added another layer of complexity to their union, as the pressures of fame combined with personal struggles behind closed doors. Do you think Janet's decision to keep her marriage a secret protected her sanity, or did it only make the eventual divorce more shocking for fans who felt left in the dark? By 2000, their marriage officially ended in divorce, with Renee walking away with a reported multi-million-dollar settlement. The secrecy surrounding their relationship made the revelations during the court case even more dramatic, as fans and the media learned details about Janet's private life she had fought so hard to conceal. The end of the marriage marked not only the conclusion of a romantic chapter, but also a creative one, as Renee had played a vital role in shaping some of Janet's most iconic work in the 1990s. After the split, Janet moved forward, continuing to build her legacy as one of the most influential entertainers of all time. Renee, for his part, largely disappeared from the limelight, occasionally surfacing in the media, but never reaching the same prominence he had while at Janet's side. Looking back, their marriage is often remembered as one of the most secretive unions in Hollywood, proving that even the most private relationships can end in very public heartbreak. Halle Berry and Eric Benet. Halle Berry and Eric Benet's marriage is remembered as one of Hollywood's most glamorous pairings that quickly descended into heartbreak and scandal. By the time they married in 2001, Halle Berry had already become one of the most celebrated actresses of her generation, winning critical acclaim for Monsters Ball, which earned her the historic Academy Award for Best Actress. Eric Benet, meanwhile, was a rising neo-soul singer and songwriter known for hits like Spend My Life With You, a duet with Tamia, and his smooth, soulful delivery. Together, they looked like a picture-perfect couple, stunning, talented, and seemingly deeply in love. Their wedding in Santa Barbara was intimate yet elegant, and many believed Halle had finally found lasting happiness after a series of difficult relationships. However, the marriage quickly began to fracture beneath the surface. Less than 2 years into their union, shocking reports emerged that Eric had been unfaithful. Initially, Benet denied the rumors, but he later admitted to sex addiction and entered a rehabilitation program to address his compulsive behavior. The revelation devastated Halle, who had endured a painful history with men, including a past relationship marked by alleged abuse that left her with partial hearing loss in one ear. For her fans, it was heartbreaking to watch the actress who had reached the pinnacle of professional success face yet another deeply personal betrayal. The couple attempted to work through their issues, with Halle supporting Eric's decision to seek treatment, but the damage to their relationship proved irreparable. In 2003, Halle filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. By 2005, their marriage was legally dissolved, leaving both to publicly grapple with the fallout. Eric Benet would later insist that the label of sex addict unfairly defined him, claiming he only went to rehab to save the marriage, and not because he truly fit the diagnosis. Halle, however, maintained her silence for the most part, preferring to move forward rather than dwell on the betrayal. For Halle, the divorce was another painful chapter in her romantic life, but it also demonstrated her resilience. Rather than allowing the failed marriage to define her, she continued to dominate Hollywood, taking on blockbuster roles in X-Men Catwoman and Gothica. Yet the emotional toll was clear. She has spoken in interviews about struggling with trust and love, often admitting that she longed for stability, but repeatedly found herself in unhealthy relationships. Do you think celebrities like Halle are more vulnerable to betrayal because of their fame? Or is it simply a reflection of the universal challenges of marriage? As for Eric Benet, the divorce affected his reputation, but he eventually rebuilt his personal life and career. In later years, he remarried, tying the knot with Prince's ex-wife, Manuela Testolini, and welcomed 2 daughters. He also released more music, proving he could still carve out a respected career despite the scandal. While he has expressed regret for how his marriage to Halle ended, he has also emphasized that he learned valuable lessons about honesty and commitment. Ultimately, Halle Berry and Eric Benet's marriage serves as a reminder that even the most glamorous unions can hide painful truths. Their story was not only about betrayal, but also about healing growth and the importance of moving on from toxic situations. For Halle, it was another stepping stone on her journey toward understanding love, while for Eric, it was a wake-up call that forced him to confront his choices. Together, their failed marriage became one of Hollywood's cautionary tales about how fame and personal demons can undo even the most dazzling love stories. Halle Berry and David Justice. Halle Berry's first marriage to former Major League Baseball star David Justice remains one of the most infamous unions in her romantic history. At the time they met in the early 1990s, Halle was a rising actress gaining attention for roles in Boomerang, alongside Eddie Murphy and Strictly Business. David, meanwhile, was a standout outfielder for the Atlanta Braves, a World Series champion, and one of the most charismatic figures in professional baseball. When they tied the knot on New Year's Eve in 1993, many saw it as the perfect merging of Hollywood glamour and athletic excellence. Halle was at the start of her path to superstardom, and David was already a household name in sports. Together, they embodied the kind of power couple that fascinated the media. At first, the marriage appeared to thrive, with the two often photographed on red carpets, exuding charm and sophistication. But beneath the surface, the relationship was plagued with problems. Tensions began to build as both careers demanded immense time and energy, leaving little room for stability at home. Halle later revealed that her union with David became emotionally devastating, describing it as one of the darkest chapters of her life. She admitted that the end of the relationship was so traumatic that it pushed her to contemplate suicide, a revelation that shocked fans who had only seen the glamorous facade. Their divorce in 1997 was acrimonious, marked by bitterness and lingering animosity that played out in the public eye. Allegations of abuse swirled around the breakup, with Halle hinting at emotional and physical harm, but never publicly naming David as the abuser. However, speculation intensified because of her hearing loss in one ear, which she linked to a violent altercation with a past partner. While she never confirmed that David was responsible, the rumors stained his reputation for years, something he has consistently denied. David later gave interviews insisting that he was unfairly cast as the villain, claiming he never laid a hand on Halle, and expressing frustration that the accusations left a permanent scar on his public image. Adding another layer of complexity, their divorce settlement became contentious, with disputes over finances and property fueling further discord. Halle threw herself into her work during this time, starring in high-profile films and pushing her career to new heights, perhaps as a way to regain control and stability after personal turmoil. In contrast, David's baseball career began to decline in the late 1990s, and while he remained respected for his athletic achievements, his name became increasingly tied to the controversy of his failed marriage. Even decades later, the bitterness lingered. In 2015, David publicly resurfaced to defend himself on social media, venting frustration at being unfairly vilified for nearly 20 years. He insisted that the narrative around their divorce was one-sided and damaging, emphasizing that their marriage simply didn't work out rather than being the abusive nightmare many assumed. Do you believe public perception should weigh more on proven facts, or do lingering rumors always shape how we view celebrity relationships? For Halle, the divorce from David Justice was both painful and transformative. It pushed her to confront her vulnerabilities and shaped her perspective on love and trust. While she would go on to experience more high-profile marriages and divorces, her first marriage to David left an indelible mark on how the public viewed her personal life. For David, it was a reminder that fame in sports could quickly turn sour when mixed with Hollywood scandal. In the end, Halle Berry and David Justice's short-lived marriage is remembered not for its romance, but for the deep scars it left on both parties. It stands as a cautionary tale about how fame, pressure, and personal demons can unravel even the most promising of unions. Halle Berry and Olivier Martinez. Halle Berry's third marriage to French actor Olivier Martinez began with the promise of fairy tale romance, but ended in yet another painful chapter of heartbreak. The two met in 2010 on the set of the film Dark Tide, where their chemistry was undeniable. By this point, Halle was an Academy Award-winning actress and an international star, while Olivier was celebrated in Europe for films like Unfaithful and The Horseman on the Roof. They quickly became one of Hollywood's most glamorous couples, their relationship marked by red carpet appearances, exotic vacations, and a whirlwind of tabloid coverage. In 2013, the pair wed in a romantic ceremony at a centuries-old chateau in France. For many fans, this seemed like a turning point in Halle's tumultuous love life. She had already endured 2 divorces, first from baseball star David Justice and then from singer Eric Benet. With Olivier, she appeared to have finally found stability. That same year, they welcomed their son Mateo, bringing joy and a sense of family completeness for Halle, who was already a mother to daughter Nala from her previous relationship with model Gabriel Aubry. But the happiness did not last long. Their marriage soon became strained by conflicting lifestyles and constant media scrutiny. Reports suggested cultural clashes and different expectations about family life, as well as Olivier's fiery temper. One of the most publicized incidents came in 2012, even before their wedding, when Olivier was involved in a violent altercation with Halle's ex, Gabriel Aubry, during a custody dispute over Nala. The fight made headlines worldwide and set the tone for the turbulence that would define their relationship. By 2015, just 2 years after their wedding, Halle and Olivier announced their separation. In their joint statement, they described the decision as amicable and emphasized their commitment to co-parenting Maceo. Yet behind the public words, the divorce was anything but simple. Custody arrangements, disagreements about lifestyle, and media speculation made the split messy. For Halle, this was her third failed marriage, and she faced renewed scrutiny about her personal life, with critics questioning why her relationships always seemed to end in disaster. Do you think Halle was simply unlucky in love, or was the relentless pressure of fame a factor that made her marriages harder to sustain? Olivier, too, felt the sting of the divorce, as his Hollywood career never quite reached the same heights after his marriage to Halle ended. While he continued to act in films and television, his name became more associated with his fiery personality and failed marriage than with his professional achievements. Halle, meanwhile, threw herself into her career, and her children later admitting in interviews that she had learned hard lessons from her repeated marital struggles. She spoke about finally choosing herself and prioritizing peace of mind over the pursuit of romance. The divorce was finalized in 2016, marking the end of Halle's third marriage. Unlike her previous unions, this one left her with the added responsibility of co-parenting a young child with Olivier, forcing the two to maintain some level of connection despite their separation. For fans, it was another reminder that even Hollywood's brightest stars are not immune to heartbreak and disappointment. In the end, Halle Berry and Olivier Martinez's marriage is remembered as passionate but volatile, a union filled with both love and conflict. It reinforced Halle's reputation as one of Hollywood's most resilient women, someone who, despite repeated heartbreaks, continued to rise, rebuild, and redefine herself both as an actress and as a mother. Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley. The marriage between Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley is still one of the most shocking unions in Hollywood history. Michael, the king of pop, was at the height of his fame, and Lisa Marie carried the legacy of being Elvis Presley's only child, the so-called Princess of Rock and Roll. Their 1994 wedding wasn't just a marriage, it was a cultural earthquake. When the two announced that they had secretly married in the Dominican Republic, the world was stunned. Few had seen it coming, and even fewer believed the relationship was genuine at first. For many, it seemed like the ultimate merging of two powerful music dynasties. From the beginning, the marriage was polarizing. Supporters argued that the couple shared a genuine bond built on friendship and mutual admiration. Lisa Marie later said she felt a deep connection with Michael, describing him as a misunderstood soul who longed for love and stability. Michael, on his part, often spoke about wanting a family and finding comfort in Lisa Marie's down-to-earth presence. Their public appearances together, however, were often met with skepticism. The infamous kiss at the 1994 MTV Video Music Awards is still remembered as one of the most awkward and talked-about moments in pop culture. Behind the spectacle, their relationship was fraught with pressure. Michael was battling relentless media scrutiny and legal challenges related to child abuse allegations, which cast a long shadow over their union. Lisa Marie reportedly struggled with the overwhelming circus that surrounded her husband, often feeling that her love couldn't shield him from the storm. At the same time, she wanted to help him confront his issues, including concerns about his health and lifestyle. However, the intensity of Michael's world ultimately wore her down. One of the central issues in their marriage revolved around children. Michael wanted to start a family right away, while Lisa Marie felt it was too soon. Their disagreement created tension, and when Michael later had children with Debbie Rowe, many saw it as a direct response to the breakdown of his marriage with Lisa Marie. Do you believe their marriage was rooted in genuine love, or was it more a calculated partnership shaped by fame and circumstance? By 1996, just under 2 years after their wedding, Lisa Marie filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Despite the short length of their marriage, both continued to speak of each other with respect in the years that followed. Lisa Marie admitted in later interviews that she was deeply in love with Michael, but their lives were simply too complicated to sustain a long-term partnership. Michael, for his part, maintained that Lisa Marie was someone he cherished and respected. In the decades since their marriage has remained one of the most analyzed celebrity unions, inspiring documentaries, articles, and endless debates about whether it was real or staged. For some, it symbolized a beautiful but doomed attempt to find love amid unimaginable pressure. For others, it was an ill-fated collision of two cultural icons destined to end in heartbreak. Ultimately, Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley's marriage was short, intense, and unforgettable. It left a lasting impression on fans of both the Presley and Jackson legacies, reminding the world that even icons struggle to find stability in love. Michael Jackson and Debbie Rowe. Michael Jackson's marriage to Debbie Rowe was unlike his highly publicized union with Lisa Marie Presley. Where his relationship with Lisa Marie was wrapped in glitz speculation and intense media attention, his bond with Debbie was quieter, more pragmatic, and centered around his dream of becoming a father. Debbie, a nurse who worked with Jackson's dermatologist, Dr. Arnold Klein, had known Michael for years before romance ever entered the picture. Their friendship grew out of mutual respect and Michael's trust in her during a time when he was navigating not only health issues, but also an overwhelming public life. The pair married in November 1996 in Sydney, Australia, just months after Michael finalized his divorce from Lisa Marie. For many fans, the announcement came as a shock. Few even knew who Debbie was. Unlike Lisa Marie, Debbie was not from a celebrity dynasty, but from a modest background. She herself admitted later that the marriage was less about traditional romance and more about fulfilling Michael's longing for children. At the time, Michael was already facing immense scrutiny over his personal life, and many wondered if the marriage was an attempt to quiet rumors and rebuild his image. Debbie gave birth to their first child, Michael Joseph Prince Jackson Jr., in February 1997. A year later, their daughter Paris Jackson was born. Both children were delivered in Los Angeles, and Michael was described as an attentive, hands-on father who cherished the chance to build the family he always dreamed of. Debbie, for her part, expressed that giving him children was the greatest gift she could offer. In later interviews, she admitted that while she loved Michael, she saw herself primarily as the mother of his children, rather than as a wife in the traditional sense. Despite the initial optimism, the marriage was short-lived. In 1999, Debbie and Michael divorced after 3 years together. Debbie granted Michael full custody of the children, later explaining that she felt he was better equipped to provide them with the unique environment they needed as the children of one of the most famous people in the world. The settlement reportedly included a multi-million-dollar payout, and Debbie stepped away from the spotlight, though she would occasionally resurface in court proceedings when custody arrangements were revisited. Their relationship was often misunderstood. Critics painted Debbie as someone who entered the marriage for money or out of obligation, while supporters believed she genuinely cared for Michael and wanted to help him achieve his dream of fatherhood. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. Debbie herself once said, "I didn't marry Michael to be Mrs. Jackson. I married him because I wanted to give him children." Do you think this type of arrangement counts as a real marriage? Or does it show how unconventional love can be in the world of celebrity? After Michael's death in 2009, Debbie returned to the public eye briefly, working to build a stronger relationship with her children, especially Paris, who has spoken openly about reconnecting with her mother. While their marriage was not built on traditional romance, it shaped Michael's legacy in a profound way through his children who carry his name and memory into the future. In the end, Michael Jackson and Debbie Rowe's marriage may not have been a love story in the classic sense, but it was pivotal. It gave Michael the family he longed for, provided Debbie with a unique place in music history, and created a lasting legacy through Prince and Paris, two of the most enduring reminders of the king of pop's humanity beyond the spotlight. Diana Ross and Arne Næss Jr. Diana Ross's marriage to Norwegian shipping magnate Arne Næss Jr. is often remembered as the most significant and enduring romantic relationship in her life, even though it ultimately ended in divorce. When the two met in the mid-1980s, Diana entered the music world with the Supremes, and then solidifying her solo stardom with hits like Ain't No Mountain High Enough and Endless Love. Arne, meanwhile, was a wealthy businessman, avid mountaineer and adventurer from a prominent European family. Their union seemed to offer Diana a balance she had long craved, a chance at domestic happiness alongside her unparalleled career. The couple married in 1985 in Switzerland, in a lavish ceremony attended by celebrities and European high society alike. For Diana, who had previously been married to music executive Robert Ellis Silberstein, this marriage represented not just love, but also stability. Together they built a blended family. Diana had 3 daughters from her first marriage, Rhonda, Tracy, and Chudney, while she and Arne went on to have 2 sons together, Ross Arne and Evan Olav. Their home life in Switzerland, and later in the United States, was described as glamorous, yet surprisingly grounded, with Diana taking an active role as a mother while continuing her career. During their early years, Diana often spoke about how happy she was with Arne, praising his devotion as a father and his adventurous spirit. They were frequently seen at society events, but also enjoyed quieter family moments, painting a picture of stability that had eluded her before. However, by the mid-1990s, cracks began to show. Arne's business dealings and his passion for mountaineering kept him away for long stretches, while Diana's career commitments meant she remained very much in the public eye. Their busy lifestyles slowly created distance between them, and reports of Arne's infidelities further strained the marriage. In 1999, after 14 years together, Diana and Arne officially divorced. Despite the pain, Diana was careful to maintain a positive public stance. She continued to describe Arne as the love of her life and expressed gratitude for the children they shared. Their divorce settlement was said to be amicable, and both remained committed to co-parenting their sons. Still, the end of the marriage was a difficult emotional blow for Diana, who had deeply hoped it would be her forever union. Do you think high-profile marriages like theirs fail because of lifestyle pressures, or is it more about personal incompatibility hidden by glamour? Tragedy later added to the poignancy of their story. In 2004, Arne Næss Jr. died in a mountaineering accident in South Africa at the age of 66. His death devastated Diana and their children, with the singer expressing sorrow over the loss of the man she once called her soulmate. She honored his memory publicly and privately, ensuring their sons grew up knowing the adventurous spirit and legacy of their father. For Diana, her marriage to Arne Ness Jr. stands out as the most profound romantic relationship of her life, even though it ended in divorce. Unlike her first marriage, which was marred by industry pressures, her time with Arne offered genuine love, family expansion, and stability, even if it could not withstand the challenges of time and fame. Today, their children, including actor Evan Ross, continue to embody the bond that once united one of music's greatest legends with a European aristocrat. Diana Ross and Robert Ellis Silberstein. Diana Ross's first marriage to music executive Robert Ellis Silberstein is often overshadowed by her later romance with Norwegian businessman Arne Ness Jr., yet it played a crucial role in shaping both her personal and professional journey. At the time of their wedding in 1971, Diana was transitioning from her phenomenal success with the Supremes into a solo career that would redefine her as one of the most iconic entertainers of the 20th century. Robert, a Harvard-educated businessman and record executive, was well connected in the music industry, and many believed their union was a natural match of talent and strategy, glamour meeting business acumen. The couple built a family almost immediately. Robert legally adopted Rhonda Ross, Diana's daughter, from her relationship with Motown founder Berry Gordy, raising her as his own from infancy. Together, Diana and Robert also welcomed two daughters, Tracy Ellis Ross, who would go on to become a celebrated actress in her own right, and Chudney Ross, who later became an accomplished producer and author. Their Beverly Hills home was often described as a hub of creativity and luxury, where Diana balanced her demanding career with the responsibilities of motherhood. While their marriage projected stability and elegance in public privately, it was not without challenges. Diana's career demanded constant travel, studio sessions, and film projects, such as Lady Sings the Blues, which earned her an Academy Award nomination. Robert, though successful in his own right, often found himself cast in the role of caretaker both of the children and of Diana's image. Over time, the imbalance in priorities began to erode their bond. By the mid-1970s, rumors of strain in the marriage became widespread. Diana was at the pinnacle of her fame, releasing chart-topping hits like Love Hangover and Theme from Mahogany, while Robert preferred a quieter, more grounded lifestyle. Insiders suggested that the demands of Diana's superstardom left little room for the intimacy and normalcy Robert craved. Additionally, her ongoing professional connection to Berry Gordy, the father of her first child, allegedly added tension. In 1977, after 6 years of marriage, Diana and Robert finalized their divorce. While the split was painful, both worked hard to maintain an amicable relationship for the sake of their children. Robert remained an active presence in the lives of Rhonda, Tracy, and Chudney, often attending events and supporting their careers. Unlike many high-profile Hollywood divorces, theirs did not devolve into public feuds or bitter legal battles, a testament to their mutual respect. Do you think their marriage might have lasted if Diana had stepped back from her career at the height of fame, or was the split inevitable given her superstar trajectory? Following the divorce, Diana continued to dominate the music and film industries while Robert quietly stepped away from the spotlight. He focused on business ventures and remained known primarily as a devoted father. Tracy Ellis Ross has often spoken warmly of the role he played in raising her and her sisters, crediting him with providing balance in a life often dominated by fame. In retrospect, Diana Ross and Robert Ellis Silberstein's marriage is remembered less for its end and more for the family it created. Though it lasted only 6 years, the union brought 3 daughters into the world who would each forge their own remarkable paths. For Diana, it was a chapter that combined the challenges of love and family with the heights of international superstardom, proving that even global icons must navigate the fragile complexities of marriage. Tina Turner and Ike Turner. Few marriages in music history are as infamous or as impactful as the tumultuous union of Tina Turner and Ike Turner. Their relationship began in the late 1950s when a teenage Anna Mae Bullock, later known as Tina, joined Ike's band, The Kings of Rhythm. Ike quickly recognized her extraordinary voice and stage presence, giving her the stage name Tina Turner and forming the Ike and Tina Turner Revue. On stage, they were electric, creating hits like Proud Mary and River Deep, Mountain High that thrilled audiences worldwide. Offstage, however, their partnership was defined by control abuse and trauma that would take Tina decades to heal from. The two married in 1962 in Tijuana, Mexico, but the union was far from romantic. According to Tina's own accounts in her memoir, Tina Ike was domineering from the very beginning. While he helped launch her into stardom, he also sought to own every part of her life, both professionally and personally. She revealed years later that their relationship was marked by physical violence, emotional manipulation, and coercion. Despite the glittering success of the Ike and Tina Turner Revue, Tina lived in near constant fear behind closed doors. During the 1960s and early 1970s, the couple became one of the most successful musical duos in America. They toured extensively, released hit records, and earned a reputation for electrifying live performances. Yet Tina's personal suffering grew unbearable. She later described moments of being beaten before going on stage, forced to smile and perform through the pain. By the mid-1970s, she was also facing exhaustion from the grueling tour schedule and the destructive chaos of Ike's drug use. Her breaking point came in 1976 after a violent confrontation in a Dallas hotel. That night, she fled their marriage with just 36 cents and a gas station credit card in her pocket, symbolizing both her desperation and her determination to start over. The divorce was finalized in 1978. In an extraordinary decision, Tina agreed to walk away from nearly all financial assets and property, leaving Ike with the houses, cars, and recording rights. The only thing she fought to keep was her stage name, Tina Turner, a symbol of her identity and career. This choice allowed her to rebuild her life on her own terms, even though it meant starting from scratch. At the time, many doubted she could make a comeback, but Tina proved them wrong. The 1980s marked Tina Turner's rebirth. With the release of Private Dancer in 1984, she reinvented herself as a solo superstar, winning multiple Grammys and achieving international acclaim. Her resilience and triumph over adversity turned her into a symbol of empowerment for women everywhere. Ike, meanwhile, struggled with declining career opportunities, ongoing drug addiction, and mounting legal troubles. He later admitted in interviews that he had abused Tina, but often minimized the severity, a contrast to Tina's candid and painful recollections. Do you think Tina's decision to sacrifice material wealth for her freedom was the most courageous move of her career? Or was it simply the only choice she had left? When Ike Turner died in 2007, Tina chose not to publicly condemn or glorify him. Instead, she focused on celebrating her own hard-won peace. In later interviews, she acknowledged that while Ike had been instrumental in her rise to fame, he had also been the source of her deepest pain. Her legacy, however, became defined not by victimhood, but by triumph. She turned her survival into a global story of resilience, inspiring millions with both her music and her life. Ultimately, Tina and Ike Turner's marriage remains one of the most cautionary tales in music history. A story of how extraordinary talent can be overshadowed by abuse, but also how strength and courage can reclaim that talent and transform it into something even greater. Lionel Richie and Brenda Harvey Ritchie. Lionel Richie's marriage to Brenda Harvey. Ritchie is one of the most dramatic and highly publicized celebrity unions in R&B history. Long before Lionel became the global superstar behind classics like Hello All Night Long and Endless Love, Brenda was an integral part of his journey. The two met while attending Tuskegee University in Alabama and quickly fell in love. In 1975, at the very moment Lionel's career was taking off with the Commodores, they tied the knot, solidifying a partnership that combined personal devotion with shared ambition. During the early years, Brenda was seen as Lionel's anchor. While he was on the road building his reputation with the Commodores and later embarking on a solo career, Brenda often supported him behind the scenes. Their marriage appeared stable, and when Lionel transitioned to superstardom in the 1980s, Brenda was right there beside him. Together, they adopted a young girl named Nicole Escovedo, later known to the world as Nicole Richie, who was the biological daughter of musician Peter Michael Escovedo and Karen Moss. The adoption in 1990 symbolized their shared commitment to family, and for a time it seemed like Lionel and Brenda had achieved the perfect balance between fame and home life. But behind the glossy facade, their relationship began to crumble under the weight of Lionel's growing fame and personal indiscretions. By the mid-1980s, rumors of Lionel's infidelity were widespread. These rumors came to a head in 1988 when Brenda discovered Lionel in a Beverly Hills apartment with another woman, Diane Alexander, who would later become his second wife. The confrontation quickly escalated into one of the most infamous scandals of the decade. According to reports, Brenda physically attacked both Lionel and Diane in a heated altercation which led to her arrest on charges of trespassing, vandalism, and disturbing the peace. Though she was eventually released, the incident became front-page news and cemented the breakdown of their marriage in the public eye. The scandal left Lionel's squeaky clean image badly damaged and forced Brenda into an unwanted spotlight. Their marriage limped on briefly after the incident, but the trust had been shattered beyond repair. In 1993, after nearly 18 years together, Lionel and Brenda finalized their divorce. The proceedings were contentious, with Brenda reportedly receiving a substantial financial settlement, rumored to be in the tens of millions, one of the largest in Hollywood at the time. The divorce was not only emotionally painful, but also financially costly, highlighting just how explosive their split had become. Despite the turmoil, Brenda remained a devoted mother to Nicole, raising her with love and discipline, while Lionel rebuilt his life with Diane Alexander. Over time, Brenda chose a quieter existence, avoiding the spotlight, but still showing support for her daughter, who later became a reality TV star and fashion entrepreneur. Lionel, meanwhile, acknowledged his mistakes in later interviews, admitting that his actions had caused deep hurt and that the scandal was one of the most difficult chapters of his life. Do you think Lionel's stardom made it impossible for him to maintain fidelity, or was his downfall purely a matter of personal choice? In retrospect, Lionel Richie and Brenda Harvey Richie's marriage is remembered as both a story of love and betrayal. Their nearly 2 decades together saw the rise of Lionel from a college musician to an international icon, but also the unraveling of a marriage that could not survive the temptations and pressures of fame. While Brenda rarely speaks publicly about those years, her role in Lionel's life and career remains undeniable. Their story stands as a reminder that behind the glamour of superstardom often lies the same struggles with trust, temptation, and heartbreak that ordinary couples face, only magnified under the bright lights of Hollywood. Lionel Richie and Diane Alexander. Lionel Richie's second marriage to Diane Alexander was born out of scandal and went on to become another chapter in his complicated romantic history. Their relationship first made headlines in the late 1980s when Diane, then a young dancer and fashion designer, was discovered with Lionel while he was still married to his first wife, Brenda Harvey. The confrontation became one of the most notorious celebrity scandals of that era. Brenda allegedly caught Lionel and Diane together in an apartment. An altercation followed, and Brenda was arrested on charges ranging from trespassing to vandalism. The explosive incident set the stage for the eventual collapse of Lionel's first marriage, but it also marked the beginning of his long relationship with Diane. In 1995, Lionel and Diane married in a lavish ceremony 4 years after his divorce from Brenda was finalized. By then, Lionel was already an established international superstar, with his solo career producing timeless hits such as Hello, Say You, Say Me, and All Night Long. Diane, who had appeared in his Dancing on the Ceiling music video years earlier, became a prominent figure in his life and the mother of his 2 younger children, Miles Brockman, born in 1994, and Sophia Richie, born in 1998. Together, they presented the image of a glamorous Hollywood family, blending Lionel's musical legacy with Diane's elegance and youthful energy. For a time, the marriage appeared solid. Diane was often seen supporting Lionel at events, and she played a central role in raising their children, both of whom would go on to carve out their own identities in the fashion world. Miles pursued modeling while Sophia became a socialite model and entrepreneur, eventually earning international fame of her own. The couple's family unit was frequently featured in glossy magazines, painting a picture of stability and success that contrasted sharply with the chaos of Lionel's previous marriage. However, by the early 2000s, cracks began to appear. Lionel's demanding schedule, ongoing health struggles, including battles with throat problems that affected his voice, and the usual pressures of fame began to weigh heavily on their relationship. In 2003, Lionel filed for divorce after nearly 8 years of marriage. What followed was one of the most contentious celebrity divorce settlements of its time. Diane sought a massive financial payout, requesting close to $300,000 per month in support. Her claim included expenses for everything from plastic surgery and personal trainers to jewelry, clothing, massages, and live-in staff. The staggering numbers made headlines worldwide, sparking debates about the lifestyle of celebrity spouses and the costs of maintaining luxury after divorce. The divorce was finalized in 2004, and while the financial details were never fully disclosed, reports suggested that Diane walked away with a significant settlement. For Lionel, the split was both emotionally and financially draining. He admitted in later interviews that the divorce had a profound impact on him, forcing him to reassess his personal life and priorities. Diane, meanwhile, largely stepped out of the spotlight, focusing on raising Miles and Sophia, and later pursuing her own interests in design and business. Despite the bitter end, both Lionel and Diane remained connected through their children. In recent years, Lionel has been supportive of Sophia's career and personal life, including her high-profile relationships and eventual marriage. Diane, too, has been publicly present at key family moments, proving that while their marriage ended, their shared role as parents created an enduring bond. Do you think Diane's extravagant settlement demands were justified by the lifestyle she had during the marriage, or were they an example of Hollywood excess at its peak? In the end, Lionel Richie and Diane Alexander's marriage is remembered less for its romance and more for its dramatic beginning and controversial ending. From scandalous origins to a record-breaking divorce, their union reflects the volatility of love under the glare of celebrity. For Lionel, it was another lesson in the costs of fame and the complexity of love, while for Diane, it was the chapter that secured her place in one of music's most storied legacies. Eddie Murphy and Nicole Mitchell Murphy. Eddie Murphy and Nicole Mitchell. Murphy's marriage was once celebrated as one of the most glamorous love stories in Black Hollywood, but its ending became one of the most talked-about divorces of the 2000s. Eddie, already a comedy legend and one of the biggest box office stars of the 1980s and 1990s, met Nicole, a stunning model and actress, in 1988 at an NAACP Image Awards show. Their chemistry was immediate, and they began a relationship that quickly blossomed into something serious. After nearly 5 years of dating, the pair married in a lavish ceremony at the Plaza Hotel in New York City in 1993. The wedding was attended by celebrity royalty, including Whitney Houston, Alfre Woodard, and other big names, and was covered extensively in the media. Together, Eddie and Nicole seemed to have it all: beauty, wealth, and a growing family. Over the course of their marriage, they welcomed 5 children: Bria, Miles, Shane, Zola, and Bella Murphy. Nicole dedicated much of her time to raising their children, while Eddie continued to dominate Hollywood with hit films like The Nutty Professor, Shrek, and Dr. Dolittle. Publicly, they projected the image of a stable, successful family, often appearing on red carpets with their children in tow. For years, they were viewed as one of Hollywood's most enduring Black power couples. However, behind the smiles and glamour, their marriage began to show cracks in the early 2000s. Eddie's demanding career often kept him away from home, while Nicole, after years of supporting his career and raising their children, began to seek more independence. Rumors of Eddie's infidelity surfaced repeatedly, casting shadows over the relationship. Although neither confirmed the details, publicly whispers of affairs circulated in the tabloids and added strain to their already fragile bond. In 2005, after 12 years of marriage, Nicole filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The announcement shocked fans as the couple had long been seen as a rare example of Hollywood longevity. The divorce proceedings quickly turned into a financial spectacle. Nicole sought a massive settlement to maintain the lifestyle she and the children had grown accustomed to during their marriage. Reports indicated that she was awarded $15 million in the divorce, a figure that made headlines and sparked debates about the costs of celebrity breakups. Eddie, who was at the height of his career wealth, accepted the settlement without much public resistance, preferring to keep the divorce as private as possible. Following the split, Nicole reinvented herself, stepping into the spotlight more fully on her own terms. She became known for her appearances on reality television, including Hollywood Exes, where she openly discussed her life after Eddie and the challenges of being a single mother in the public eye. She also launched a jewelry line and became involved in fitness and wellness, carving out her own identity beyond being Eddie Murphy's ex-wife. Eddie, meanwhile, continued his career, expanding his family with other partners. He has 10 children in total, with several women, cementing his reputation as both a comedy legend and a father with a sprawling household. Despite the divorce, Eddie and Nicole have maintained a relatively cordial relationship for the sake of their children. They have been seen together at family events, supporting their daughters and sons in their respective careers, and have avoided the kind of bitter public feuding that often defines Hollywood divorces. Do you think their marriage might have lasted if Eddie had stepped back from Hollywood's spotlight, or was their breakup inevitable given the pressures of fame and infidelity? Ultimately, Eddie Murphy and Nicole Mitchell. Murphy's marriage is remembered as a dazzling union that symbolized Black excellence in Hollywood during the 1990s and early 2000s. Its collapse was a reminder that even the most enviable relationships can be undone by the pressures of fame, temptation, and shifting priorities. Their story, though marked by scandal and heartbreak, also highlights resilience, Nicole's ability to redefine herself, and Eddie's continued devotion to his children. Eddie Murphy and Tracey Edmonds. Eddie Murphy and Tracey Edmonds' relationship is one of the most curious and short-lived stories in celebrity marriage history. Eddie, the legendary comedian and actor, had already lived through one of Hollywood's most publicized divorces with Nicole Mitchell Murphy in 2006. Tracey Edmonds, meanwhile, was a highly successful businesswoman and film producer, best known for her marriage to R&B star babyface Kenneth Edmonds, and for her role as CEO of Edmonds Entertainment. When news broke that Eddie and Tracey were romantically involved in the mid-2000s, many fans were intrigued by the union of two powerful figures in entertainment. Their romance blossomed quickly, and by 2007, the couple announced their engagement. On New Year's Day 2008, they tied the knot in a glamorous wedding ceremony on a private island off Bora Bora in French Polynesia. The setting was picture-perfect, with clear waters, lush greenery, and an intimate guest list that included close family and friends. For Eddie, who had endured tabloid scrutiny following his divorce and a highly publicized breakup with Melanie Mel B. Brown of the Spice Girls, the wedding seemed like a chance to turn the page. For Tracey, it was a fresh start after her divorce from Babyface in 2005. But almost immediately, cracks appeared. Although the Bora Bora wedding was elaborate and romantic, it was not legally binding in the United States. The couple returned home with plans to host a formal ceremony in Los Angeles to make their marriage official. However, tensions began to mount during their honeymoon, and disagreements quickly spiraled into deeper conflicts. Reports suggested the pair clashed over lifestyle differences, family matters, and even cultural expectations. Friends close to the couple described their arguments as intense, highlighting just how incompatible they were beneath the glossy surface. By the time they returned to the U.S., the marriage was already unraveling. Just 2 weeks after the Bora Bora ceremony, Eddie and Tracey issued a joint statement announcing their split. They clarified that they had chosen not to proceed with a legally binding marriage, effectively annulling their union before it ever became official in the eyes of the law. The announcement shocked fans and the media, who had barely gotten used to the idea of the two as husband and wife before the relationship dissolved. For Eddie, the brief marriage was another chapter in his already complex romantic history, which included high-profile relationships and fatherhood with multiple partners. Critics suggested that he rushed into the marriage without fully working through the emotional fallout of his previous relationships. Tracy, on the other hand, later explained that the experience taught her important lessons about compatibility and boundaries. She admitted that while the relationship began with great passion and optimism, it became clear very quickly that they were not meant to be long-term partners. Do you think Eddie and Tracy's split was the result of rushing into marriage too quickly, or were they simply too different to ever make it work? After their separation, both moved forward successfully. Eddie focused on raising his growing family and eventually welcomed more children with his longtime partner, Paige Butcher. Tracy continued her career as a producer and businesswoman, later becoming the partner of media mogul Deion Sanders. Despite the whirlwind nature of their relationship, both Eddie and Tracy emerged stronger and wiser, using the experience as a turning point in their personal journeys. Ultimately, Eddie Murphy and Tracy Edmonds' short-lived marriage is remembered not for romance, but for its brevity and spectacle. It serves as a reminder that even when two accomplished and seemingly compatible individuals come together, love in the spotlight can unravel at lightning speed. Their union may not have lasted, but it remains one of Hollywood's most talked-about almost marriages. Stevie Wonder and Syreeta Wright. Stevie Wonder and Syreeta Wright's marriage is often remembered not just as a romantic relationship, but also as one of the most creatively fruitful partnerships in Motown history. When they married in 1970, Stevie was already being hailed as a prodigy-turned-superstar, having been signed to Motown's Tamla label as a child and producing hits like My Cherie Amour and Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours. Syreeta, meanwhile, was an emerging singer and songwriter at Motown, known for her soft, ethereal voice and her gift for crafting soulful lyrics. Their marriage symbolized the union of two kindred spirits bound together by music creativity and a shared belief in artistry over celebrity. Their wedding took place at a pivotal time in Stevie's career. He was beginning to assert more control over his music, preparing to embark on the groundbreaking run of albums in the 1970s that would cement his place in history. Syreeta was a vital collaborator during this period, co-writing several songs with Stevie, including the timeless Signed, Sealed, Delivered. Their creative chemistry was undeniable, and during their short marriage they continued to inspire each other artistically. The two even recorded a collaborative album, Stevie Wonder Presents Syreeta 1974, after their divorce, proof that their bond transcended marital breakdown. Yet as harmonious as they were in the studio, their personal relationship was less stable. Both were young. Stevie was only 20, and Syreeta 24 when they wed, and they quickly realized that their visions for marriage and family did not align. Syreeta reportedly wanted a more spiritual and platonic bond, describing Stevie more as a soul partner than a traditional husband. Stevie, on the other hand, longed for a conventional family life. The mismatch in expectations, combined with the pressures of fame and Stevie's grueling work schedule, placed a strain on their union almost immediately. By 1972, just 2 years after their wedding, the couple divorced. Yet unlike many Hollywood splits marked by bitterness, Stevie and Syreeta's separation was amicable and respectful. Both publicly acknowledged their deep affection and admiration for one another, choosing to focus on their creative partnership rather than their failed marriage. Their ability to maintain closeness even after divorce set them apart from many of their peers. Do you think their decision to prioritize artistry over traditional marriage roles was wise? Or did it prevent them from fully committing to each other as life partners? Following the divorce, both Stevie and Syreeta flourished in their own ways. Stevie entered what is now known as his classic period, releasing albums like Talking Book 1972, Inner Visions 1973, and Songs in the Key of Life 1976. which remain some of the most acclaimed works in music history. Sarita, meanwhile, built a respected solo career recording hits like With You I'm Born Again, a duet with Billy Preston, and exploring musical genres ranging from soul to reggae. Their friendship endured for decades, with Stevie often praising Sarita's talent and kindness. When Sarita passed away in 2004 after a battle with cancer, Stevie spoke publicly about the profound impact she had on his life, both personally and artistically. He credited her not only for shaping some of his most beloved music, but also for teaching him lessons about love, respect, and collaboration. In the end, Stevie Wonder and Sarita Wright's marriage may have been short-lived, but its legacy is long-lasting. It produced some of Motown's greatest songs, showcased the power of creative synergy, and demonstrated that even relationships that end in divorce can leave behind something deeply beautiful and enduring. Their story remains one of the rare cases where love, even when it doesn't last forever, transforms into a lifelong source of inspiration. Stevie Wonder and Kai Millard Morris. Stevie Wonder's marriage to fashion designer Kai Millard Morris is remembered as one of the longer-lasting chapters in his personal life, though it too eventually ended in divorce. By the time they wed in September 2001, Stevie was already a living legend, a 25-time Grammy Award winner, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, and one of the most influential musicians of the 20th century. Kai, meanwhile, had made her mark in the fashion world, known for her elegant designs and artistic flair. Their union brought together two creative spirits from different disciplines, and for a time it seemed like Stevie had finally found lasting happiness after the short-lived marriage to Sarita Wright decades earlier. The wedding was a relatively private affair compared to other celebrity ceremonies, reflecting Stevie's preference for intimacy when it came to personal matters. Together, Stevie and Kai welcomed two sons, Kayland, born in 2001, and Mandla Kajay Carl Stevland Morris, born in 2005. Stevie was often seen doting on his children, and Kai embraced her role as a mother while continuing to build her fashion career. Family life during these years appeared happy, with the couple frequently photographed at events and their children growing up surrounded by both artistic inspiration and global fame. Yet as the years passed, cracks began to form in their relationship. The intense demands of Stevie's career touring recording and his lifelong commitment to activism often conflicted with the stability Kai desired. By 2009, they were living separately, though the news did not become public until later. In 2012, Stevie filed for divorce after more than a decade of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences. The filing revealed that the couple had been apart for 3 years, suggesting that their marriage had quietly dissolved long before it was officially acknowledged. The divorce process was amicable in tone but complex in details given Stevie's fortune and the couple's shared children. Court documents showed that Stevie offered a generous financial settlement, including $25,000 a month in child support, ensuring that Kai and their two sons would be well provided for. Unlike many high-profile celebrity divorces, theirs avoided explosive headlines or bitter accusations, reflecting the respect they still had for one another as co-parents. Do you think Stevie's ability to keep the divorce civil reflects maturity gained from his earlier experiences, or was it simply a way to avoid unnecessary publicity? After the split, both moved forward with grace. Stevie continued to perform worldwide, eventually remarrying in 2017 to Tomika Bracey, with whom he has 2 children. His career remained untouchable, with his music celebrated across generations. Kai, meanwhile, pursued her fashion career more independently, showcasing her designs in exclusive circles and focusing on raising her sons. Their oldest, Kayland, has since emerged in the entertainment world as a drummer for his father and as a budding figure in fashion and social circles, while Mandla has shown interest in creative pursuits as well. Though their marriage did not last, Stevie Wonder and Kai Millard Morris's relationship left a positive legacy, particularly through their children. Unlike the turbulence of Stevie's earlier personal life, this chapter demonstrated a more mature, balanced approach to love and family, even in the face of separation. Their story illustrates how divorce, when handled with respect, does not have to mean bitterness. It can mark the evolution of a relationship into something more focused on partnership and parenting. In the broader narrative of Stevie's life, his marriage to Kai stands as a reminder that even legends are vulnerable to the same struggles of love, compromise, and change as anyone else. While the romance ended, the family bond they created continues to thrive, proving that sometimes love's truest legacy lies not in permanence, but in what it leaves behind. Stevie Wonder and Yolanda Simmons. Stevie Wonder's relationship with Yolanda Simmons stands out in his personal history not as a legal marriage, but as a long-term partnership that profoundly shaped his life. Yolanda met Stevie in the early 1970s when she applied for a secretarial position at his publishing company. Their connection was immediate, and while they never officially tied the knot, their bond would produce children and a shared history that influenced Stevie both personally and professionally. In 1975, the couple welcomed their first daughter, Aisha Morris, who would go on to become a singer and frequently perform alongside her father. Aisha's birth marked a transformative moment for Stevie. His joy was so great that he credited her with inspiring his music in new and powerful ways. In fact, she became the muse for one of his most iconic songs, Isn't She Lovely, featured on his landmark 1976 album, Songs in the Key of Life. The song captured the pure elation of fatherhood, celebrating Aisha's arrival with lyrics that resonated deeply with fans around the world. Aisha would remain a central part of his life and career, often joining him on stage as a vocalist embodying the living legacy of Stevie and Yolanda's relationship. Their family grew with the birth of their second child, Kata Morris, who pursued a career in music and art. For a time, Stevie and Yolanda appeared to have created a stable and loving household, despite not being married. However, as Stevie's career demands intensified, touring globally, recording groundbreaking albums, and engaging in activism, the relationship began to show strain. By the early 1980s, Stevie and Yolanda had separated, though they remained connected through their children and through the shared history of those formative years. Unlike some of Stevie's more publicized relationships, his partnership with Yolanda was relatively private with few dramatic headlines. Their split was not marred by bitter legal battles or scandals, but was instead a quiet acknowledgement that their paths were diverging. Still, Yolanda's presence in Stevie's life left an indelible mark not only through their children, but also through the influence she had on his artistry during his most prolific period. Do you believe Yolanda's role as Stevie's partner and muse, even without a marriage license, had more impact on his legacy than some of his official unions? After their separation, Stevie continued to redefine music with socially conscious hits like Happy Birthday, which played a role in campaigning for Martin Luther King Jr., Day to become a national holiday, and I Just Called to Say I Love You, which earned him an Academy Award. Yolanda, meanwhile, chose a quieter life, supporting her children and keeping largely out of the public eye. Aisha and Kata both grew into creative adults, with Aisha in particular maintaining a visible role in the music industry, carrying forward the legacy of her father's genius and her mother's quiet influence. Although Stevie Wonder and Yolanda Simmons never married, their relationship is often included in discussions of his great loves because of its deep impact on his life and career. It represents a different kind of partnership, one built less on legalities and more on shared moments, inspiration, and the creation of a family that would continue to shape Stevie's journey. In the broader story of Stevie Wonder's relationships, Yolanda's chapter reminds us that not all unions are defined by marriage certificates. Some are measured by the love they produce, the art they inspire, and the family that continues to grow from them. Their time together, though it ended in separation, stands as proof that not every love story needs permanence to leave a lasting legacy. Denzel Washington and Pauletta Washington. Denzel Washington and Pauletta Washington are often mistakenly included in lists of black celebrity divorces, but the truth is, they have never divorced. In fact, their marriage is one of the longest-lasting and most admired unions in Hollywood. The couple met on the set of the 1977 television film Wilma, in which Denzel played runner Wilma Rudolph's suitor. Pauletta, an actress and accomplished pianist, immediately caught his attention. After a long courtship and reportedly several proposals before she said yes, they married on June 25, 1983. Over the decades, Denzel and Pauletta have raised 4 children together: John David Katia and twins Olivia and Malcolm. John David Washington is now a celebrated actor. BlacKkKlansman Tenet, Olivia, and Malcolm are pursuing careers in film and production, and Katia works behind the scenes in the entertainment industry. Their family has grown into a legacy of talent and achievement, nurtured by the stability and commitment Denzel and Pauletta built. The couple has been open about the ups and downs of their marriage. Denzel has often credited Pauletta as the foundation of their family and the true hero behind their success. He has said that while he may be the one in the spotlight, it is Pauletta's strength, faith, and resilience that have kept their marriage intact for more than 40 years. In interviews, he's joked that the secret to a long marriage is doing what she says, but behind the humor lies genuine admiration. Of course, like any couple in Hollywood, they have faced rumors, especially given the intense scrutiny surrounding Denzel's fame. Yet both have repeatedly emphasized that their marriage is built on faith, communication, and an unshakable bond. Pauletta once revealed that she accepted Denzel's proposal only after he asked multiple times, underscoring her thoughtful approach to commitment. That careful consideration has paid off. Their marriage has endured far beyond the average Hollywood relationship. Their love story is also deeply rooted in spirituality. Both have spoken about how their Christian faith plays a central role in their lives and marriage. They attend church regularly and credit prayer and shared values with helping them weather the inevitable storms of life. Do you think faith is the main reason Denzel and Pauletta's marriage has endured? Or is it their ability to maintain a balance between fame and family life? In 2023, they celebrated 40 years of marriage, making them one of the rare examples of lasting love in Hollywood. At an anniversary event, their children honored them publicly, describing their parents' marriage as both inspiring and grounding. For Denzel, who is often regarded as one of the greatest actors of his generation, his proudest accomplishment is not his Oscars or box office success, but the family and marriage he has built with Pauletta. Ultimately, Denzel and Pauletta Washington's union is not a story of divorce, but a testament to enduring love. Their marriage has become a model for how Black celebrity couples can maintain longevity and authenticity in an industry often defined by fleeting relationships. Instead of a cautionary tale, theirs is a beacon of hope, proving that true partnership can withstand the pressures of fame and time. Michael Jordan and Juanita Vinoy. Michael Jordan and Juanita Vinoy's marriage is one of the most famous and most expensive celebrity divorces in history. The two met in the late 1980s when Michael was quickly rising to superstardom with the Chicago Bulls. At the time, he was still a young player, but his charisma and dominance on the court already made him a household name. Juanita, a former model and loan officer from Chicago, met him through mutual friends, and their connection was immediate. By 1989, the couple tied the knot in Las Vegas in a quiet ceremony after Juanita had already given birth to their first son, Jeffrey Jordan. Their marriage lasted 17 years and produced 3 children, Jeffrey, Marcus, and Jasmine. Unlike many basketball wives who embraced the limelight, Juanita largely stayed out of the public eye, choosing instead to focus on raising their children and maintaining stability at home. The Jordans appeared to represent the perfect balance, a global sports icon paired with a grounded private wife who supported his empire behind the scenes. But Michael's career and lifestyle put enormous strain on the marriage. As he became the face of the NBA and one of the most marketable athletes in history, with endorsements ranging from Nike to Gatorade, the pressures of fame grew heavier. Rumors of infidelity and gambling controversies surrounded him for much of the 1990s, and while Juanita rarely spoke publicly, insiders suggested these issues created cracks in their relationship. In 2002, Juanita filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, but the two reconciled shortly after. However, the reprieve did not last, and by 2006, they finalized their separation for good. The divorce became legendary not just because of who Michael Jordan was, but because of the staggering financial settlement. Juanita reportedly received $168 million, one of the largest divorce settlements in entertainment and sports history at the time. She also retained custody of their children and the couple's 7-acre Chicago mansion. The sheer size of the settlement made global headlines, sparking discussions about the financial realities of celebrity divorces and the costs of fame. Do you think the size of the settlement reflected fairness for Juanita's role in Michael's life? Or was it simply a consequence of his unmatched fortune? Despite the painful split, both Michael and Juanita handled the divorce with discretion. Unlike many high-profile separations, theirs was relatively private, without bitter public feuds. Juanita transitioned into life as a philanthropist and businesswoman, focusing on charitable causes and maintaining a close relationship with her children. Michael, meanwhile, remarried in 2013 to Yvette Prieto, with whom he has twin daughters. He also continued to grow his empire, becoming the first billionaire athlete through endorsements, investments, and ownership of the Charlotte Hornets. Looking back, Michael Jordan and Juanita Vinoy's marriage is remembered as a story of love, family, and the harsh realities of life lived under a global microscope. Their divorce highlighted the personal cost of being married to one of the most famous men on the planet, but it also underscored Juanita's pivotal role in supporting Michael during his rise. Though their union ended, their legacy lives on through their 3 children, who continue to honor both parents as integral parts of their lives. Michael Jordan and Yvette Prieto. Michael Jordan and Yvette Prieto's relationship is widely known, but unlike his marriage to Juanita Vinoy, it has not ended in divorce. In fact, Michael and Yvette remain married as of today, making their union one of the most high-profile celebrity marriages still going strong. The two first met in 2008 at a Miami nightclub. Yvette, a Cuban-American model with a background in business, was admired for her elegance and sophistication. Michael, at that point already retired from basketball, was still one of the most recognizable athletes in the world, known not only for his 6 NBA championships with the Chicago Bulls, but also for building a business empire through Nike's Air Jordan brand and countless endorsements. Their romance quickly grew serious, and by 2011, Michael proposed. In April 2013, they were married in an extravagant ceremony in Palm Beach, Florida. The wedding reportedly cost around $10 million and was attended by hundreds of guests, including celebrities, athletes, and musicians. Yvette wore a custom Jaton couture gown, and the event featured performances by stars like Usher and Robin Thicke. It was one of the most lavish weddings in sports history, reflecting both Michael's immense fortune and the couple's desire to celebrate their love in style. The following year, Yvette gave birth to identical twin daughters, Victoria and Isabel Jordan, adding a new chapter to Michael's life as a father of 5. Unlike his first wife, Juanita, Yvette has occasionally embraced the public spotlight, appearing at events alongside Michael, though she generally maintains a private lifestyle. She is often praised for bringing a sense of balance and stability to Michael's life, after years of being under constant scrutiny. Their marriage has so far avoided the scandals and controversies that surrounded Michael's first union. While his relationship with Juanita ended in one of the largest divorce settlements in history, his partnership with Yvette has been much quieter, focused on family philanthropy and Michael's business ventures. Together, they support numerous charitable causes, including the Michael Jordan Foundation and hospitals in Charlotte, North Carolina, where Michael owns the city's NBA team. Kobe Bryant and Vanessa Bryant. Kobe Bryant and Vanessa Bryant's relationship is one of the most famous and most tested love stories in sports history. Unlike many other celebrity couples, their marriage did not end in divorce, but it came very close, and the turmoil they endured made global headlines. Their story is a mix of young love, controversy, reconciliation, and ultimately tragedy. The two met in 1999, when Vanessa, then a 17-year-old high school student and aspiring model, crossed paths with Kobe, who was only 21, but already a rising star with the Los Angeles Lakers. Their romance moved quickly. By May 2000, they were engaged, and in April 2001, they married in a private ceremony in Dana Point, California. Kobe's parents famously did not attend the wedding, as they reportedly disapproved of the marriage at such a young age. Despite this rocky start, Kobe and Vanessa presented themselves as deeply committed, and she was often seen courtside at Lakers games supporting her husband during his ascension to basketball superstardom. However, their marriage faced its most public crisis in 2003 when Kobe was accused of sexual assault in Colorado. Although the criminal case was eventually dropped and the civil case settled, the scandal put enormous strain on their marriage. Kobe admitted to infidelity, but insisted the encounter had been consensual. To win back Vanessa's trust, he publicly apologized and famously gifted her an 8-carat purple diamond ring valued at $4 million, which tabloids dubbed the apology ring. For many, this moment symbolized both the fragility and the resilience of their union. In 2011, Vanessa filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences after 10 years of marriage. Court documents revealed that she sought joint custody of their 2 daughters, at the time Natalia and Gianna, and the news shocked fans around the world. With Kobe's net worth already in the hundreds of millions, the potential settlement could have rivaled some of the largest in sports history. However, in a surprising twist by early 2013, the couple announced they had reconciled and Vanessa withdrew the divorce petition. Their reunion was celebrated by fans, many of whom admired their perseverance through adversity. Do you think their decision to reconcile reflected genuine healing, or was it more about preserving family stability in the spotlight? The years that followed saw Kobe and Vanessa rebuild their relationship. They went on to have 2 more daughters, Bianca in 2016 and Capri in 2019. Kobe often spoke about his devotion to Vanessa, crediting her as the backbone of their family and the person who kept him grounded throughout his career and beyond. He once said, "We've been through our ups and downs, but that's what true love is." Their marriage became a story of endurance, standing out in a celebrity world where many couples never survive such challenges. Tragically, their love story was cut short in January 2020 when Kobe and their daughter Gianna died in a helicopter crash, along with 7 others. Vanessa was left to raise their 3 surviving daughters and preserve Kobe's legacy. Since then, she has become a vocal advocate for women in sports, a philanthropist, and the protector of her late husband's memory. Ultimately, Kobe and Vanessa Bryant's marriage is not a tale of divorce, but of survival, forgiveness, and profound loss. It shows that even under the brightest spotlight, love can endure unthinkable challenges, and in their case, it left behind a legacy of family and strength that continues to inspire millions. Shaquille O'Neal and Shawnee O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal and Shawnee O'Neal's marriage was once admired as a symbol of Black love, family, and success, but it ultimately ended in one of the most publicized divorces in the sports world. When they married on December 26, 2002, Shaq was already a towering figure in basketball, a 3-time NBA champion with the Los Angeles Lakers, while Shawnee Nay Nelson was a film marketer who later became an executive producer and reality television personality. Together, they created a blended family that included their 4 biological children, Sharif Amira Shakir and Mayara, along with Shawnee's son from a previous relationship, and Shaq's daughter from an earlier romance. From the outside, they seemed to have it all: wealth, a beautiful family, and the allure of being one of the NBA's first families. Shaq dominated the court while Shawnee held down the home front, eventually creating her own empire as the producer of the hit reality series Basketball Wives. For years, fans admired their dynamic, but like many high-profile couples, their relationship struggled behind the scenes. Shaq later admitted in his memoir, Shaq Uncut, that his own infidelity and inability to be a fully committed partner played a major role in the breakdown of the marriage. Their troubles became public in 2007, when Shaq filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. However, the couple reconciled briefly, and the filing was withdrawn. For a time, it seemed they might salvage their union. Yet by 2009, the marriage had reached its breaking point. Shawnee filed for divorce that November, also citing irreconcilable differences. This time, the separation was permanent, and the couple officially divorced in 2011. One of the most striking aspects of their split was the level of honesty Shaq later showed about his role in the marriage's failure. In interviews, he admitted, "I was a guy with too many options. I wasn't protecting her and respecting her vows." Shawnee, meanwhile, maintained dignity and grace throughout the process, focusing on raising their children and building her career as a producer. Do you think Shaq's willingness to publicly take responsibility makes his story more sympathetic? Or does it simply highlight how fame and temptation often destroy even the strongest-looking marriages? Financially, the divorce was significant, but relatively smooth compared to other high-profile splits. Shaq's wealth, which had grown enormously through NBA contracts, endorsements, and investments, was divided with Shawnee, who secured substantial support for herself and their children. More importantly, the two worked hard to co-parent effectively, ensuring that their kids were not caught in the crossfire. Their oldest son, Sharif, went on to play college basketball and briefly pursued an NBA career, while their other children have found success in academics, modeling, and athletics. Both parents regularly appear together at family events, showing that their children's well-being remains their priority. In the years since their divorce, Shaquille has dated other women but has not remarried, while Shawnee eventually found love again, marrying Pastor Keon Henderson in 2022. Despite their separation, both continue to speak respectfully of each other. Shaq has even admitted that Shawnee was the backbone of our family and that he regretted not being a better husband during their time together. Ultimately, Shaquille and Shawnee O'Neal's marriage is remembered as a story of love, family, and eventual growth. Though it ended in divorce, it also highlighted accountability, resilience, and the importance of putting children first. Their legacy is not only their shared history, but also the strong, united family they built together even after their romantic relationship came to an end. Chris Rock and Malak Compton Rock. Chris Rock and Malak Compton Rock's marriage was one of the longest-running unions in Black Hollywood before it ended in a very public divorce. The comedian and the humanitarian met in the mid-1990s, at a time when Chris was skyrocketing to fame through Saturday Night Live stand-up specials and films, while Malak was carving out her own path as a publicist for UNICEF. Their worlds seemed different, but their chemistry was undeniable. In November 1996, they tied the knot, setting the stage for nearly 2 decades of marriage that would blend comedy, philanthropy, and family life. Together, Chris and Malak raised 2 daughters, Lola Simone, born 2002, and Zara Savannah, born 2004. They also welcomed Ntombi, a young girl from South Africa, into their family, though her legal guardianship later became a point of contention during their divorce. For years, the Rocks appeared to be one of Hollywood's strongest families. Malak was not content to just be a celebrity wife. She created her own identity as the founder of the nonprofit Styleworks, an organization dedicated to helping women leaving welfare transition into the workforce. She also became a respected advocate for humanitarian issues, accompanying Chris on global charity missions and raising awareness for causes such as education and women's empowerment. Publicly, the couple seemed well-matched, Chris, with his razor-sharp wit and successful career, and Malak with her dedication to service and family. Yet beneath the surface, cracks began to appear. By 2014, rumors of trouble circulated, fueled by speculation about Chris's fidelity. Those rumors were confirmed when, in December 2014, Chris filed for divorce after 19 years of marriage. The news stunned fans, as the Rocks had been considered a rare example of longevity and stability in celebrity culture. The divorce proceedings revealed even deeper fractures. Chris later admitted in interviews, including his candid 2018 Netflix special Tambourine, that he had been unfaithful to Malak with multiple women. He also confessed to struggling with pornography addiction, which he said damaged intimacy in his marriage. His willingness to own up to his failings drew both sympathy and criticism. Some praised his honesty, while others felt he was using humor to soften the pain he had caused. Malak, for her part, remained more private, but emphasized her commitment to their children's well-being. The split was complicated by legal disputes over custody. The most contentious issue involved Ntombi, the girl they had brought from South Africa. Malak claimed she had been raising her as her own, but Chris denied formal adoption had ever taken place. The matter highlighted the complexities of international guardianship and added further drama to an already high-profile divorce. Do you think Chris's transparency about his mistakes helps rebuild his image, or does it show a lack of accountability for the pain caused to his family? By 2016, their divorce was finalized, reportedly costing Chris tens of millions of dollars in settlements and support. Yet despite the bitterness, both have moved forward with their lives. Chris has continued to thrive in comedy acting and directing, using his divorce as material for some of his sharpest work. Malak has remained focused on philanthropy and raising her children, choosing dignity and privacy over tabloid headlines. Ultimately, Chris Rock and Malak Compton Rock's marriage is remembered as both an inspiring love story that lasted nearly 2 decades and a cautionary tale about the pressures of fame, temptation, and personal choices. While their divorce was painful and public, it also underscored the resilience of both individuals in redefining themselves beyond their union. Kevin Hart and Torrey Hart. Kevin Hart and Torrey Hart's marriage is one of the most talked about celebrity divorces in comedy and Black Hollywood circles. Long before Kevin became one of the highest-paid comedians in the world, he was just an up-and-coming comic trying to make a name for himself in Philadelphia. Torrey, also a comedian, actress, and screenwriter, met Kevin while they were both students at a community college. They married in 2003 when Kevin's career was still in its infancy, and together they built a family that included 2 children, daughter Heaven born 2005 and son Hendrix born 2007. In the early years, Torrey was instrumental in supporting Kevin's dreams. She appeared in comedy sketches and small acting roles, often working alongside him as he hustled to land bigger opportunities. While Kevin's career began to take off through stand-up tours and bit parts in films, Torrey balanced her own creative ambitions with raising their children. For a while, they were considered a team partners in both family and career. But as Kevin's fame skyrocketed, their marriage began to fracture. By the late 2000s, his success in stand-up comedy and Hollywood films like Think Like a Man and Soul Plane brought him into the spotlight while Torrey felt left behind. Rumors of infidelity swirled, with many pointing to Kevin's relationships outside the marriage as the breaking point. In 2010, Kevin filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The split was finalized in 2011 with joint custody of their children established. Unlike some celebrity divorces that remain quiet, Kevin and Torrey's separation was messy and highly public. Torrey publicly accused Kevin of cheating and leaving her for another woman, claims Kevin eventually admitted had truth to them. He later acknowledged his failings, admitting in interviews and stand-up routines that his immaturity and infidelity destroyed his first marriage. His candor made its way into his comedy specials, where he often joked about the divorce while simultaneously expressing regret. Torrey, meanwhile, channeled her energy into rebuilding her career and personal brand. She became a cast member on Atlanta Exes, a reality TV show that showcased the lives of women who had been married to famous men. She also pursued acting, producing, and entrepreneurship, building her own identity outside of Kevin's shadow. Torrey's openness about the pain of the divorce resonated with many fans, especially women who admired her strength and honesty. Do you think Kevin's choice to turn his divorce into comedy helped him take accountability, or did it downplay the real hurt caused to Torrey and their family? Over time, the tension between Kevin and Torrey eased, and they developed a healthy co-parenting relationship. Kevin remarried in 2016 to model Eniko Parish, with whom he has 2 more children, while Torrey has focused on raising Heaven and Hendrix and pursuing her projects. Despite past bitterness, both have spoken positively about one another in recent years, with Kevin crediting Torrey as a great mother and Torrey acknowledging that they've both matured since their split. In retrospect, Kevin and Torrey Hart's marriage and divorce highlight the challenges that fame and fortune bring to relationships. Their story is one of young love, strained by ambition, betrayal, and growth. While the marriage ended painfully, Both Kevin and Torre have used the experience to evolve Kevin as a more self-aware entertainer and father, and Torre as an independent force carving her own legacy. Usher and Tamika Foster. Usher and Tamika Foster's marriage and divorce remains one of the most dramatic stories in R&B celebrity history. When the two tied the knot in 2007, Usher was already one of the most successful recording artists of his generation, with multi-platinum albums like Confessions 2004, cementing his place as an R&B superstar. Tamika, a stylist and fashion entrepreneur, had worked with celebrities and was already a mother of 3 from a previous relationship. Their union, which started as a working relationship, quickly turned into romance, and after a whirlwind courtship, they married in a civil ceremony in Atlanta, followed by a more lavish celebration in 2008. From the beginning, the marriage attracted controversy. Many fans and even Usher's own family were skeptical about the relationship. His mother, Jonetta Patton, who had long managed his career, reportedly disapproved of the union, leading to a temporary rift between mother and son. The public also scrutinized the couple's age difference. Tamika was nearly a decade older than Usher, and the fact that she was already a mother of 3. Nonetheless, Usher defended their love, and the couple welcomed 2 children together: Usher Raymond V, born 2007, and Navid Ely. Raymond, born 2008. Behind closed doors, however, tensions mounted. By 2009, just 2 years into their marriage, cracks began to show. Usher filed for divorce in June 2009, citing irreconcilable differences. The split quickly turned bitter, evolving into one of the most contentious custody battles in celebrity memory. Usher sought primary custody of their 2 young sons, claiming that Tamika's behavior and instability made her unfit to parent full-time. Tamika fought back fiercely, accusing Usher of infidelity and of trying to push her out of their children's lives. The legal battle stretched on for years and played out in the public eye. At one point, Tamika accused Usher of having an affair with one of her bridesmaids, fueling tabloid headlines. Meanwhile, Usher portrayed himself as the more responsible parent, arguing that his fame and resources allowed him to provide a stable environment. In 2012, tragedy struck when Tamika's 11-year-old son from a previous relationship, Kyle Glover, died in a jet ski accident. Even amid the heartbreak, the custody battle continued, reflecting just how acrimonious their divorce had become. In August 2012, a judge awarded Usher primary custody of their 2 sons, a decision that shocked many observers. Tamika appealed the ruling, but ultimately lost. Usher later admitted that the battle had taken a tremendous emotional toll on him, though he insisted his children's best interests were his only priority. The custody war permanently strained relations between Usher and Tamika, with both trading barbs in interviews for years after the divorce was finalized. Do you think Usher's celebrity status influenced the court's decision, or was he genuinely seen as the more stable parent? Over time, the tension between the two has cooled, though they remain far from friendly. Usher has since remarried and welcomed more children, while Tamika has focused on her career in fashion and philanthropy, as well as continuing to raise her children. Their 2 sons, now teenagers, have appeared publicly with both parents, a sign that co-parenting, while difficult, has found some balance. Ultimately, Usher and Tamika Foster's marriage is remembered less for its romance and more for its messy aftermath. What began as a love story full of passion and defiance against critics ended in one of the most public and painful celebrity divorces of the late 2000s. Their story highlights the challenges of balancing fame, family, and personal differences, and how quickly love can unravel when tested by the glare of the spotlight. Usher and Grace Miguel. After the turbulence of his highly publicized divorce and custody battle with Tamika Foster, Usher surprised many when he quietly found love again with Grace Miguel. Unlike his previous relationships that had played out in the tabloids, his marriage to Grace began with far less spectacle. Grace was not just a romantic partner, she was also deeply involved in Usher's professional life. As a music executive and his business manager, she understood both the pressures of fame and the intricacies of his career, providing the stability that Usher longed for after years of public chaos. The two began dating in 2009, shortly after Usher's split from Tamika, and their bond deepened over the years. Grace was a strong, independent figure in her own right, having worked in the music industry for decades, including positions at Island Def Jam Records. Her maturity and experience set her apart from Usher's earlier relationships. Fans noticed how grounded and calm he seemed with her by his side. After 6 years together, the couple made it official. In September 2015, Usher and Grace tied the knot in a secret ceremony followed by a honeymoon in Cuba. By keeping things low-key, they avoided the circus-like atmosphere that had plagued his previous marriage. For a while, it seemed that Usher had finally found the balance between love and career. He often spoke glowingly of Grace, praising her wisdom and support. In interviews, he described her not only as his wife, but also as his rock, someone who truly understood him both personally and professionally. The couple frequently appeared together at events, with Grace exuding elegance and quiet confidence. However, by 2017, rumors of trouble began to surface. Their marriage faced intense strain when Usher became embroiled in a series of lawsuits from women and one man who accused him of failing to disclose an alleged herpes diagnosis. The scandal dominated headlines, and although Usher denied many of the allegations, the lawsuits placed enormous pressure on his personal life. Grace, always private, never publicly commented on the controversy, but insiders suggested that the negative attention and constant scrutiny weighed heavily on their marriage. In March 2018, Usher and Grace announced their separation after nearly a decade together. In their joint statement, they emphasized love and respect, saying, "After much thought and consideration, we have mutually decided to separate as a couple. We remain deeply connected, loving friends who will continue supporting each other through the next phases of our lives." Unlike his divorce from Tamika, this split was remarkably civil, without public mudslinging or bitter court battles. By December 2018, Usher had officially filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. For Usher, the divorce was another difficult personal chapter, though handled with more maturity and grace than before. He continued to co-parent his children from his first marriage, while refocusing on his music, releasing new projects, and maintaining his place in R&B history. Grace returned to her own ventures in the music industry and philanthropy, continuing to thrive independently. Do you think Grace and Usher's marriage fell apart mainly because of external scandals, or was it simply a case of two people outgrowing each other? Ultimately, Usher and Grace Miguel's marriage stands out as a contrast to his earlier relationships. It was quieter, more professional, and rooted in mutual respect, even if it couldn't withstand the pressures of fame and scandal. Their divorce, while disappointing for fans who hoped Usher had finally found lasting peace, demonstrated that not all endings have to be bitter. Sometimes separation can be dignified, respectful, and focused on growth rather than destruction. Mary J. Blige and Kendu Isaacs. Mary J. Blige and Martin Kendu Isaacs' marriage was once seen as a partnership that stabilized the queen of hip-hop soul, but it ultimately became one of the most bitter celebrity divorces in R&B history. The two married in December 2003, at a time when Mary was enjoying career highs with albums like No More Drama and Love and Life. Kendu, a music executive, also worked as her manager, which made their relationship deeply intertwined, both personally and professionally. For years, Mary credited him with helping her stay grounded after years of battling substance abuse and toxic relationships. Fans believed she had finally found peace. In the beginning, their marriage seemed strong. Mary often praised Kendu in interviews, calling him her knight in shining armor and crediting him with encouraging her to maintain sobriety. Together, they built a blended family, raising Kendu's 3 children from previous relationships, whom Mary embraced as her own. Professionally, Kendu managed Mary's career, and she dedicated songs to him, including Be Without You, which became one of her biggest hits and seemed to reflect their devotion. But over time, the very closeness that bound them together began to pull them apart. By the mid-2010s, cracks in the marriage became visible. Mary grew increasingly frustrated with the overlap of their professional and personal lives, feeling that Kendu was mishandling her finances and taking advantage of his position. Worse still, rumors surfaced that Kendu was unfaithful, allegedly carrying on an affair with one of Mary's protégés. The betrayal was devastating not only emotionally, but also financially, as Kendu had access to her business dealings. In July 2016, Mary filed for divorce after 13 years of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences. What followed was a legal and emotional battle that played out in public for nearly 2 years. Kendu demanded $129,000 per month in spousal support, claiming he had become accustomed to the lavish lifestyle they shared and was left without income after their split. He argued that his role as Mary's manager had made him reliant on her career. Mary, furious, countered that he was attempting to drain her financially after betraying her trust. The divorce revealed shocking details, including Mary's accusations that Kendu had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on his mistress using marital funds. She alleged he had also mismanaged her earnings and left her with significant tax debts. For Mary, the betrayal cut deeply, not just as a wife, but as an artist who had poured her heart into celebrating what she thought was a stable love. "He betrayed me on every level," she told the press, vowing to move forward stronger than ever. Do you think mixing business and marriage inevitably leads to disaster? Or can it actually strengthen a couple if handled carefully? In 2018, the divorce was finalized, with Mary ordered to pay Kendu temporary spousal support, though far less than he initially demanded. While she shouldered some financial burden, she emerged with her dignity intact and used the pain of the split to fuel her artistry. Her 2017 album Strength of a Woman was widely seen as a direct response to the breakup, filled with raw emotion, empowerment, and resilience. Tracks like Set Me Free were pointedly aimed at Kendu, transforming her personal pain into anthems for anyone who had endured betrayal. Since then, Mary has experienced a career renaissance, earning an Academy Award nomination for her role in Mudbound, starring in the hit series Power Book 2 Ghost, and performing at the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show. Kendu, meanwhile, has kept a much lower profile, his reputation tarnished by the divorce. In the end, Mary J. Blige and Kendu Isaacs' marriage is remembered less for its love story and more for its ugly demise. What began as a union that seemed to bring healing and stability turned into one of the most contentious divorces in music. Yet Mary transformed her heartbreak into strength, proving once again why she is the queen of hip-hop soul. Toni Braxton and Carrie Lewis. Toni Braxton and Carrie Lewis's marriage was once viewed as a musical fairy tale uniting two R&B talents at the peak of their artistry. Toni, already a Grammy-winning superstar with chart-topping hits like Unbreak My Heart, Breathe Again, and You're Making Me High, met Carrie Lewis in the late 1990s when he was a member of the R&B group Mint Condition. Their professional connection quickly turned into romance, and in April 2001, they married in a lavish Atlanta ceremony attended by stars from across the music industry. For fans, the union seemed like a perfect match: two soulful voices, one legendary love story. Soon after, the couple embraced family life. Toni gave birth to their first son, Denham Cole Braxton Lewis, in 2001, followed by their second son, Diesel Kai Braxton Lewis, in 2003. When Diesel was diagnosed with autism at an early age, both Toni and Carrie became passionate advocates for autism awareness, supporting organizations and using their platform to raise understanding. The family appeared close-knit, with Toni balancing her demanding career, while Carrie stepped back from performing full-time to focus on fatherhood and supporting her. However, behind the scenes, their marriage faced mounting challenges. Toni's health became a major strain when she was diagnosed with lupus, a chronic autoimmune disease that caused her severe fatigue and health complications. She also faced financial difficulties, filing for bankruptcy twice during her career, first in 1998 and again in 2010. These struggles put immense pressure on the marriage. Though Carrie stood by her side for years, the weight of health battles, money issues, and the constant demands of the entertainment industry slowly eroded their bond. In 2009, Toni announced that she and Carey had separated. By 2013, their divorce was finalized, ending 12 years of marriage. Unlike some high-profile splits, theirs was relatively quiet, free from public feuds or scandal. Yet Toni was candid about the emotional toll of the breakup, admitting in interviews that it was one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. She revealed that part of her heartbreak came from feeling she had let her children down by not being able to preserve the family unit. Carey, for his part, remained out of the spotlight after the divorce, focusing on raising his sons and continuing to work behind the scenes in music. Toni, meanwhile, used the pain of the separation to fuel her artistry, channeling her emotions into later albums and performances. Their co-parenting relationship has remained strong. Both parents have continued to support their sons, especially Diesel, who has thrived despite his early autism diagnosis and is now pursuing a modeling career. Toni has since spoken about her lingering feelings for Carey, admitting in a 2014 interview that she still loved him, but that their marriage had simply run its course. She also confessed that her health battles had made her question whether she was worthy of love, a reflection of how deeply the divorce affected her sense of self. Do you think Toni's openness about her struggles makes her more relatable to fans? Or does it blur the line between private pain and public persona? Ultimately, Toni Braxton and Carey Lewis's marriage is remembered as a union marked by love, artistry, and shared challenges. While it ended in divorce, it also produced moments of deep connection and 2 children who remain their greatest legacy. Toni emerged from the heartbreak with renewed strength, continuing to reign as one of R&B's most powerful voices, while Carey's quiet devotion to family underscored the respect they still hold for one another. Babyface. Kenneth Edmonds and Tracey Edmonds. Kenneth "Babyface" Edmonds and Tracey Edmonds were once considered one of the most glamorous and influential couples in both music and business. Babyface, already a legendary producer, songwriter, and performer, had shaped the sound of contemporary R&B in the 1980s and 1990s, with hits like Whip Appeal, and by penning classics for Whitney Houston, Toni Braxton, and Boyz II Men. Tracey, meanwhile, was a rising powerhouse in the entertainment world, eventually becoming the CEO of Edmonds Entertainment Group. Their marriage in 1992 seemed like the perfect blending of love and ambition, an R&B king and a brilliant businesswoman building an empire together. Over the course of their marriage, Babyface and Tracey welcomed 2 sons, Brandon and Dylan, and together they created not only a family but also a thriving business partnership. Edmonds Entertainment produced films such as Soul Food, 1997, and Josie and the Pussycats, 2001, while Babyface continued to dominate the music industry, with Grammy-winning albums and songwriting credits that spanned genres. For much of the 1990s, they were viewed as a power couple, admired for balancing professional collaboration with family life. Yet, as with many celebrity marriages, cracks began to appear. By the early 2000s, the intense pressures of managing a family business empire and 2 highly demanding careers created distance. Behind the glamorous image, their personal relationship began to unravel. Rumors circulated about Babyface's infidelity and Tracey's frustrations with the challenges of being both a wife and business partner to one of the busiest men in music. While the couple largely kept their struggles private, by 2005, they announced their separation, and in 2007, after 15 years of marriage, their divorce was finalized. The split was painful but relatively dignified compared to other high-profile celebrity divorces. Both emphasized their continued commitment to co-parenting and maintaining a professional respect for each other. Babyface, in later interviews, admitted that part of the difficulty came from mixing business with marriage. He explained that when personal disagreements spilled into their professional collaborations, the stress became overwhelming. Tracey, for her part, shifted her energy into growing her own entertainment empire, proving she could thrive independently. Their post-divorce lives highlight very different trajectories. Babyface eventually remarried in 2014 to Nicole Pantenberg, a former dancer and actress, though that marriage also ended in divorce in 2021. Tracy, meanwhile, built a formidable career as a producer and television personality. She produced films, launched TV projects, and gained recognition as a sharp, independent businesswoman. In 2014, she began a relationship with NFL legend and sports analyst Deion Sanders, with whom she remains partnered today. Tracy has spoken about the importance of redefining herself outside of her identity as Babyface's wife, and her success in Hollywood has proven her resilience. For Babyface, the divorce was also a turning point in his artistry. His later albums carried a sense of maturity and reflection with themes of heartbreak renewal and growth. In a 2014 interview, he even admitted that he and Tracy weren't truly in love in the romantic sense, but rather in love with the idea of building a life together. That honesty reframed their marriage for many fans, not as a failure, but as a partnership that ran its course. Do you think couples who work together in business are more likely to face challenges, or can that dynamic strengthen a marriage when balanced properly? Ultimately, Babyface and Tracy Edmonds' marriage is remembered as both a love story and a business alliance. It brought 2 children into the world, produced a thriving entertainment company, and offered lessons in the challenges of mixing romance with ambition. Though it ended in divorce, both emerged stronger, carving out independent paths while maintaining respect for the foundation they built together. Their story serves as a reminder that even unions that end can leave behind legacies of creativity, family, and resilience. Babyface and Nicole Pantenberg. Kenneth Babyface. Edmonds' marriage to Nicole Pantenberg was his third major relationship to capture public attention, following his high-profile union with Tracy Edmonds. Nicole, a dancer and actress, was known in entertainment circles for her work as a backup dancer for Janet Jackson in the 1990s, and for her roles in shows like Moesha and That 70s Show. The couple had known each other for years before their relationship turned romantic, and their marriage in 2014 was celebrated as a new beginning for Babyface after his long and often complicated romantic past. Their wedding was intimate but star-studded, attended by close friends and industry legends, including Oprah Winfrey and Carol Bayer Sager. At the time, Babyface was 55, and Nicole was 41, with both appearing deeply in love and ready to build a life together. Their daughter, Peyton Nicole, had been born in 2008, well before their marriage, and she became the center of their union. For a while, their family life seemed peaceful and full of joy, a stark contrast to the drama and public scrutiny that surrounded Babyface's divorce from Tracy Edmonds. Babyface often spoke glowingly of Nicole, describing her as his best friend and the person who made him laugh even in difficult times. In interviews, he credited her with bringing calm and balance into his life. Nicole, meanwhile, seemed content to live largely outside the spotlight, focusing on family life and raising Peyton. Together, they presented a picture of stability: Babyface, the legendary producer with decades of hits under his belt, and Nicole, the supportive partner who knew the entertainment world but didn't crave fame for herself. But like many celebrity unions, cracks eventually appeared. After 7 years of marriage, Babyface and Nicole announced their separation in July 2021, filing for divorce shortly after. The news came as a surprise to fans, since there had been few public signs of trouble. In their joint statement, they emphasized that the decision was mutual and rooted in love and respect, particularly for the sake of their daughter. Unlike his previous divorce, which became entangled with business and money, Babyface and Nicole's split was more private and amicable. Court documents later revealed that they sought joint custody of Peyton, ensuring that she would continue to have both parents actively involved in her life. There were no major disputes over assets or finances, largely because Babyface had learned from past experiences to handle such matters with care. While neither disclosed the exact reasons for the breakup, insiders suggested that differences in lifestyle and priorities had created distance over time. Do you think Babyface's history of high-profile relationships made it harder for him to sustain this marriage? Or was it simply another case of two people growing apart? Since the divorce, Babyface has continued to focus on music, performing, and producing for a new generation of artists, while Nicole has maintained a low profile, focusing on co-parenting and personal endeavors. Despite their separation, both continue to speak respectfully of each other, demonstrating that a marriage can end without bitterness or scandal. In the broader arc of Babyface's life, his marriage to Nicole Pantenberg represents both stability and change. Though it didn't last, it gave him a sense of family later in life and a daughter who remains one of his greatest joys. Unlike his earlier, more dramatic relationships, this one ended quietly, allowing both to preserve dignity and peace. Kelly Rowland and Roy Williams. Kelly Rowland and Roy Williams' relationship is often remembered as one of those almost marriages in Black celebrity history, an engagement that never made it to the altar, but still became a topic of fascination. Kelly, a founding member of Destiny's Child, was at the height of her fame in the early 2000s. Alongside Beyoncé and Michelle Williams, she had become one of the most recognizable female voices in R&B. Roy Williams, on the other hand, was a rising NFL wide receiver drafted by the Detroit Lions in 2004 and quickly making his name as one of the league's most promising young players. The two met in the mid-2000s and began dating, drawing attention as a glamorous pairing of music and sports. Kelly, who had already launched a solo career with hits like Dilemma, her Grammy-winning duet with Nelly, seemed to have found love with the charming athlete. By 2004, Roy proposed to Kelly with an enormous diamond engagement ring said to be worth $100,000. At first, fans and the media believed Kelly had finally found her happily ever after, and the engagement was widely celebrated in magazines and entertainment news. But soon, cracks in the relationship began to show. According to both Kelly and Roy in later interviews, their relationship wasn't as solid as it appeared. They had different lifestyles and clashing personalities that created tension. Roy admitted years later that while he admired Kelly deeply, he realized he wasn't ready for marriage and that they were simply not on the same page. Kelly echoed similar sentiments, acknowledging that while she loved him, she had doubts about their compatibility, even before saying yes to the proposal. By early 2005, the engagement was officially called off. Unlike many Hollywood splits, their breakup was not marred by public scandal or bitterness. In fact, both Kelly and Roy have spoken respectfully of one another since. Kelly revealed in interviews that calling off the wedding was ultimately the right decision, saying she wasn't ready for that level of commitment and didn't want to marry for the sake of appearances. She also admitted the experience taught her valuable lessons about love timing and self-awareness. For Kelly, walking away from Roy marked a turning point in her personal growth. She went on to continue her music career eventually, finding lasting happiness years later with her husband, Tim Weatherspoon, with whom she now shares 2 sons. Roy, meanwhile, continued his NFL career with the Lions and later the Dallas Cowboys, though he never reached the superstardom some predicted. Both moved on without animosity, showing that even high-profile relationships can end amicably. Do you think Kelly made the right choice by ending the engagement rather than forcing herself into a marriage she wasn't ready for, or should she have given the relationship more time to grow? In the end, Kelly Rowland and Roy Williams' relationship is remembered not for a messy divorce, but for a canceled wedding that saved them both from entering a marriage they weren't prepared to sustain. Their story underscores an important truth. Sometimes the most courageous decision isn't saying I do, but admitting, this isn't right for me. Kimora Lee Simmons and Russell Simmons. Kimora Lee Simmons and Russell Simmons' marriage was one of the most high-profile unions in hip-hop and fashion, blending 2 worlds of influence into what seemed like a cultural power couple. Russell, co-founder of Def Jam Recordings, was already a music mogul credited with shaping the golden age of hip-hop, managing acts like Run DMC, LL Cool J, and Public Enemy. Kimora, meanwhile, was a rising fashion model discovered at just 13 years old by Karl Lagerfeld, quickly becoming a muse for Chanel and other luxury brands. When the two married in 1998 on Saint Barthélemy, an island in the French West Indies, the wedding reflected their lavish lifestyle, extravagant, glamorous, and headline-grabbing. Together, they built a family and an empire. Kimora gave birth to 2 daughters during their marriage, Ming Lee, born 2000, and Aoki Lee, born 2002. While Russell continued to expand his influence in music, film, and business, Kimura transformed herself into a fashion powerhouse, taking over the Baby Phat brand in 1999 and building it into one of the most iconic streetwear labels of the early 2000s. Their partnership was both romantic and entrepreneurial, with each bringing creativity and ambition that seemed to complement the other. Yet as successful as they appeared, their relationship was marked by challenges. Russell's reputation as a playboy often clashed with the image of domestic stability, and rumors of infidelity and lifestyle differences followed them throughout their marriage. Kimura, known for her strength and independence, reportedly grew frustrated with Russell's party lifestyle and spiritual explorations, which often pulled him away from family life. Despite their differences, they worked hard to present a united front for their children and business ventures. In 2006, after 8 years of marriage, the couple announced their separation. The divorce was finalized in 2009, officially ending their romantic relationship, but not their partnership as parents and business collaborators. To their credit, the split was relatively amicable compared to other celebrity divorces. Both emphasized their commitment to co-parenting Ming and Aoki, and they continued to appear together at family and business events. Russell later described Kimura as one of the most important people in his life, admitting that he was not the best husband, but praising her as an incredible mother. Kimura, for her part, said she respected Russell's role in her life and acknowledged that their relationship had been transformative. Do you think their marriage ended because of clashing lifestyles? Or was it simply that they were both too ambitious to sustain a traditional partnership? After the divorce, both moved on to new chapters. Russell pursued ventures in fashion and wellness, becoming a vocal advocate for veganism and meditation. Though his reputation has since been clouded by multiple allegations of sexual misconduct which he has denied. Kimura, meanwhile, continued to thrive in fashion and business. She relaunched Baby Phat in 2019 with her daughters as co-designers, proving that her entrepreneurial spirit remained unshakable. She also expanded her family through later marriages and adoption, becoming a mother of 5. Ultimately, Kimura Lee Simmons and Russell Simmons' marriage is remembered as a union that shaped culture as much as it shaped their lives. It brought together hip-hop and high fashion, produced 2 daughters who are now carving their own legacies, and left behind a blueprint for how celebrity couples can transition from spouses to co-parents and business allies. Their divorce may have ended their marriage, but it didn't erase the influence they created together. Kimura Lee Simmons and Jaimin Hounsou. After her divorce from music mogul Russell Simmons, Kimura Lee Simmons entered a new chapter of her personal life with acclaimed Beninese-American actor Jaimin Hounsou. The two began dating in 2007, quickly becoming a glamorous and unexpected couple. Kimura by then had firmly established herself as a fashion powerhouse through her leadership of Baby Phat, while Jaimin was riding high in Hollywood after earning Academy Award nominations for In America 2003 and Blood Diamond 2006. Their union brought together the worlds of fashion and film, and for a time they were celebrated as one of the most stylish and striking couples in the industry. Their relationship blossomed quickly, and in May 2009, they welcomed a son, Kenzo Lee Hounsou. Kimura often spoke warmly about Jaimin as a father, praising his devotion and hands-on approach to parenting. Together, they blended their family. Kimura already had 2 daughters, Ming and Aoki, from her marriage to Russell Simmons, and Jaimin embraced them as part of his extended family. The couple exuded warmth and elegance, often photographed at red carpet events and vacations where their chemistry was undeniable. Although many believed they had secretly married, the truth was that Kimura and Jaimin participated in a commitment ceremony in Hounsou's native Benin, West Africa in 2008. The ceremony, which included his family, was deeply spiritual and symbolic, but was never legally binding in the United States. Still, both treated their partnership as a marriage in all but paperwork, with Jaimin later describing Kimura as his wife in interviews. However, by 2012, their relationship began to unravel. Reports surfaced that the couple had quietly separated, though neither publicly confirmed the reasons at the time. Media speculation pointed to financial tensions and lifestyle differences. Around that period, Kimura was reportedly facing business difficulties, as Baby Phat was no longer under her leadership, while Jimon was struggling with the intense demands of Hollywood and his own career pressures. Insiders suggested that these external stresses, combined with personal disagreements, led to the end of their 5-year partnership. In June 2012, the split was officially confirmed. Jimin's publicist released a statement acknowledging the separation, emphasizing that, while they were no longer together, their priority remained their son, Kenzo. Unlike some high-profile Hollywood breakups, their split was relatively quiet and free from scandal. Kimura and Jimin both avoided public mudslinging, instead focusing on co-parenting. Do you think their decision to honor their breakup with dignity was a reflection of maturity, or simply a way to protect their son from the harsh spotlight of fame? Since their split, both have moved on with their lives while maintaining a cooperative co-parenting relationship. Kimura has continued to expand her family and her business ventures, relaunching Baby Phat with her daughters and becoming a mother of 5. Jimon has remained an in-demand actor, starring in major Hollywood franchises such as Guardians of the Galaxy, Shazam, and Aquaman. Though no longer together, both remain committed to raising Kenzo with love and stability, often appearing at events and milestones to support him. Ultimately, Kimura Lee Simmons and Jimon Hounsoo's relationship is remembered as a passionate and graceful partnership that, while not lasting, brought joy and a son into their lives. Their story stands as proof that even relationships that don't endure can leave behind positive legacies, especially when handled with respect and a shared commitment to family. Seal and Heidi Klum. Seal and Heidi Klum's marriage was one of the most glamorous and publicized celebrity unions of the 2000s, celebrated for its romance, family values, and dazzling red carpet appearances. Seal, the British-Nigerian singer-songwriter behind hits like Kiss, From a Rose, and Crazy, met Heidi, the German supermodel and television personality, in 2004. At the time, Heidi was pregnant with her first child, Lenny, from a brief relationship with Italian businessman Flavio Briatore. Seal not only embraced Heidi but also stepped into the role of father for Lenny, legally adopting her later, a decision that showcased his deep commitment to building a family with her. The couple married in May 2005 on a beach in Mexico in an intimate but stylish ceremony. Over the next several years, they became known as one of Hollywood's most loving couples. Seal and Heidi welcomed 3 children together: Henry 2005, Johann 2006, and Lou 2009, and Seal officially adopted Lenny, creating a blended family of 4 children. They were frequently photographed on vacations and red carpets, and their habit of renewing their wedding vows every year on their anniversary became a beloved tradition that symbolized their devotion. Publicly, their marriage seemed idyllic. Heidi often spoke about how Seal was her soulmate, and Seal praised Heidi for grounding him and giving him the family life he always wanted. They projected the image of a fairy tale romance, a rarity in the often fickle world of celebrity relationships. However, behind the curtain, cracks slowly appeared. Sources close to the couple suggested that their busy schedules, Seal's touring and Heidi's modeling and television commitments, kept them apart for long stretches. There were also reports of growing differences in parenting styles and lifestyle choices. In January 2012, after nearly 7 years of marriage, Seal and Heidi shocked the world by announcing their separation. In their joint statement, they emphasized love and respect, saying that they had grown apart, but would remain united as parents. Heidi officially filed for divorce in April 2012, citing irreconcilable differences. The split, while heartbreaking to fans, was handled with a remarkable degree of dignity. Seal and Heidi avoided public mudslinging, choosing instead to prioritize the well-being of their children. Still, the divorce settlement was significant. Heidi retained primary custody of the children, with Seal granted generous visitation rights. Reports suggested that financial negotiations were relatively smooth, thanks to both having built substantial independent fortunes. Seal continued to provide emotional and financial support for their blended family, and Heidi went on to balance her career as a host of Project Runway and later America's Got Talent with raising their children. Even after the divorce, Seal and Heidi maintained a cooperative relationship, often attending family events together and supporting their children in public. Over the years, both have moved on romantically. Heidi married Tokyo Hotel guitarist Tom Collitz in 2019, while Seal has kept a lower-profile love life. Despite their split, Seal has continued to speak warmly of Heidi, especially about her role as a mother. Do you think their annual vow renewals were a genuine expression of love or a way to mask the struggles they were facing privately? Ultimately, Seal and Heidi Klum's marriage is remembered as a love story that captivated the public, full of passion, glamour, and family devotion. Though it ended in divorce, the way they handled the separation with respect, maturity, and commitment to their children set a standard for how celebrity couples can part ways gracefully. Their union left behind not only memories of iconic public appearances, but also a legacy of love through the family they built together. Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. Kanye West and Kim Kardashian's marriage was one of the most scrutinized and publicized celebrity unions of the 21st century. Their relationship combined two towering figures of pop culture, Kanye, the Grammy-winning rapper, producer, and fashion designer, and Kim, the reality TV star, who transformed her fame into a billion-dollar business empire. When they married in May 2014 in a lavish ceremony at Fort de Belvedere in Florence, Italy, it seemed like the ultimate fusion of music, fashion, and celebrity influence. Their wedding was nothing short of spectacular. Guests included A-list celebrities, and the ceremony was preceded by an elaborate celebration in Paris. Kim wore a custom Givenchy haute couture gown designed by Riccardo Tisci, while Kanye was deeply involved in every detail, showcasing his reputation for grandeur. Together, they became known as Kimye, a couple that redefined the boundaries of celebrity branding and influence. During their marriage, they welcomed 4 children: North 2013, Saint 2015, Chicago 2018 via surrogate, and Psalm 2019, also via surrogate. For a time, they projected the image of a modern power couple, Kim balancing her reality empire. Keeping up with the Kardashians. Skims, KKW Beauty, and Kanye, pursuing his music fashion line. Yeezy, and later political aspirations. They graced magazine covers, collaborated on projects, and appeared inseparable, with Kanye famously declaring Kim his muse. But cracks soon began to show. Kanye's increasingly erratic behavior, amplified by his struggles with bipolar disorder, became a central source of strain. His controversial statements, ranging from public feuds to his 2020 presidential run, often placed Kim in difficult positions. While she supported him publicly for years, she admitted privately that his unpredictability was difficult to manage. Reports also pointed to cultural and lifestyle differences. Kim valued stability and family, while Kanye often pursued extremes in both creativity and public expression. By early 2021, Kim filed for divorce after nearly 7 years of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences. The news dominated global headlines, with many noting that their separation marked the end of one of pop culture's most influential partnerships. Despite the split, both emphasized their commitment to co-parenting their 4 children. Unlike some Hollywood divorces, theirs did not devolve into hostility in its early stages. Kim often defended Kanye even after filing, acknowledging his struggles with mental health and emphasizing her respect for him as the father of her children. The divorce, finalized in 2022, involved a massive financial settlement. Reports revealed that Kanye agreed to pay Kim $200,000 per month in child support along with shared custody. Despite Kanye's billionaire status at the time, much of his fortune was tied to Yeezy, which later lost major partnerships following his controversial public remarks. Kim, a billionaire in her own right, did not request spousal support, underscoring her financial independence. Even after the divorce, their relationship remained complicated. Kim continued to publicly emphasize stability for their children, while Kanye moved on with new relationships, including a surprise marriage to Bianca Censori in 2023. Their dynamic continues to be a subject of media fascination, as their influence extends far beyond entertainment into fashion, business, and culture. Do you think their marriage ended mainly because of Kanye's mental health struggles? or was it inevitable given the enormous pressures of living under constant global scrutiny? Ultimately, Kanye West and Kim Kardashian's marriage is remembered as both iconic and tragic, a partnership that reshaped celebrity culture, blending music, fashion, and reality TV into a global empire, but one that ultimately could not withstand the pressures of fame, personal struggles, and divergent life paths. Their story is a reminder that even the most glamorous unions can falter under the weight of human vulnerability. Kim Kardashian and Kris Humphries. Kim Kardashian's marriage to NBA player Kris Humphries is remembered less for its romance and more for its brevity and spectacle. By the time they began dating in late 2010, Kim was already a global reality TV star thanks to Keeping Up with the Kardashians and her growing business ventures. Kris, a power forward in the NBA, was playing for the New Jersey Nets and gaining recognition for his athletic performance. Their relationship unfolded quickly under the watchful eye of reality television cameras, which captured every stage of their whirlwind romance. In May 2011, Kris proposed to Kim with a 20.5-carat Lorraine Schwartz diamond ring, reportedly worth $2 million. Just a few months later, on August 20, 2011, they married in a lavish ceremony in Montecito, California. The wedding, estimated to have cost around $10 million, was broadcast as a two-part television special on E! And watched by millions. Guests included Hollywood stars, athletes, and business moguls, cementing it as one of the biggest celebrity weddings of the decade. At the time, it seemed like a fairy tale, Kim in a custom Vera Wang gown and Kris stepping into the Kardashian spotlight as her prince. But trouble set in almost immediately. Behind the glamour, the couple struggled with fundamental differences. Kim's fame revolved around constant media exposure, brand building, and the demands of reality TV, while Kris preferred a more private, low-key lifestyle focused on basketball. Reports suggested that Kris was uncomfortable with how much of their relationship was staged for cameras, while Kim grew frustrated with his reluctance to adapt to her celebrity world. After only 72 days of marriage, Kim filed for divorce on October 31, 2011, citing irreconcilable differences. The announcement shocked fans and fueled accusations that the wedding had been a publicity stunt designed to generate money and attention for the Kardashian brand. Critics pointed to the millions earned from the televised wedding and magazine deals as proof, while Kim insisted that she had married for love, but realized too late that it wasn't right. The divorce quickly turned bitter. Kris fought to have the marriage annulled, claiming it was based on fraud, while Kim pushed for a standard divorce. Their legal battle dragged on for nearly 2 years, with Kris accusing Kim of orchestrating the marriage for ratings. Kim, however, maintained that she rushed into marriage without fully considering whether Kris was the right partner. During the proceedings, she admitted to feeling pressure to go through with the wedding because of the show's family expectations and public anticipation. In April 2013, the divorce was finally settled just days before Kim gave birth to her first child, Northwest, with Kanye West. Kris did not receive any financial settlement, and both parties walked away with their respective assets intact. Despite the acrimony, Kris later admitted he had moved on, though he described the ordeal as a deeply embarrassing moment in his life. Kim, meanwhile, has openly called the marriage a mistake, but also a learning experience that taught her to listen to her instincts. Do you think Kim was a victim of media pressure, or was Kris right to accuse her of marrying for publicity? Ultimately, Kim Kardashian and Kris Humphries' marriage has gone down in pop culture history as one of the shortest and most notorious celebrity unions ever. It highlighted the risks of mixing reality TV spectacle with genuine relationships, serving as a cautionary tale about how fame can distort even the most personal milestones. While it ended in humiliation for both, it remains one of the most unforgettable episodes in Kim's long journey through love, fame, and reinvention. Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon. Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon's marriage was one of the most surprising celebrity unions when it began, and one of the most closely followed when it ended. Mariah, already an iconic singer with a 5-octave vocal range and a string of record-breaking hits like Hero, We Belong Together, and the perennial holiday favorite All I Want for Christmas Is You, was 11 years older than Nick, who at the time was best known as an actor-rapper and host of Wild 'N Out. Their age difference and contrasting career statuses made their pairing seem unlikely, but when they wed in April 2008, after just a few weeks of dating, fans were stunned. Their wedding was intimate but lavish, held at Mariah's private estate in the Bahamas. Despite initial skepticism, the couple quickly proved their bond was real, radiating affection and joy. For years, they became one of Hollywood's most playful and glamorous pairs, often renewing their vows annually in over-the-top ceremonies. They welcomed twins Moroccan and Monroe in 2011, a moment both described as the pinnacle of their love story. Nick was often seen celebrating Mariah's legendary status, calling her his dream girl, and showing a devotion that seemed genuine and deep. However, beneath the glamorous surface, cracks began to appear. Nick's growing career as a host on America's Got Talent and Mariah's demanding schedule as a global superstar left them little time together. Their personalities, once complementary, began to clash. Nick's humorous, free-spirited style often contrasted with Mariah's more private, diva-like persona. By 2014, rumors of tension swirled, fueled by reports of disagreements over family life, career priorities, and Nick's increasingly public persona. In August 2014, Nick confirmed that he and Mariah had been living separately for months. By December, he filed for divorce, officially ending their 6-year marriage. The split was amicable on the surface, though both admitted it was painful. Mariah later revealed that she struggled deeply with the breakdown of the marriage, saying it left her feeling vulnerable. Nick, meanwhile, admitted he would always love Mariah, but felt the relationship had simply run its course. Their divorce was finalized in 2016 with joint custody of their twins. Financially, the settlement wasn't as contentious as other celebrity divorces, though given Mariah's estimated fortune, hundreds of millions at the time, there was speculation about how assets would be divided. In the end, both maintained their independence and emphasized co-parenting as their priority. Unlike some celebrity exes, Mariah and Nick managed to stay close, often celebrating birthdays and holidays together with their twins. Nick has publicly praised Mariah as a mother, calling her unbothered, classy, and still the greatest singer in the world. Their post-divorce lives took very different paths. Mariah became engaged briefly to billionaire James Packer before calling it off, and she has continued to perform globally, cementing her status as one of the best-selling female artists of all time. Nick, on the other hand, shocked the world by fathering 12 children with multiple women, building a reputation as one of Hollywood's most unconventional fathers. Still, he has maintained a special reverence for Mariah, often calling her the love of his life. Do you think Nick's ongoing admiration for Mariah shows he regrets the divorce, or is it simply a reflection of deep respect for what they shared? Ultimately, Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon's marriage is remembered as both unexpected and unforgettable. It brought joy, laughter, and 2 beautiful children into the world, and even though it ended in divorce, the love and respect they continue to show each other has kept their family bond strong. Their story demonstrates that even in the glare of the spotlight, a breakup doesn't have to mean bitterness. It can evolve into a lasting friendship rooted in shared love for family. Mariah Carey and Tommy Mottola. Mariah Carey's marriage to Tommy Mottola remains one of the most controversial unions in music history, part love story, part cautionary tale of power dynamics in the entertainment industry. When they met in 1988, Mariah was an unknown 18-year-old aspiring singer from Long Island, while Tommy was the powerful 39-year-old head of Sony Music, then CBS Records. After Mariah handed him her demo tape at a party, Tommy became immediately captivated by her voice and her potential. Within 2 years, he signed her to Columbia Records, launching her meteoric rise. By 1990, her self-titled debut album had gone multi-platinum, and Mariah became a household name almost overnight. Their relationship quickly moved from professional to personal. In 1993, they married in a lavish ceremony at St. Thomas Episcopal Church in New York City, followed by a reception at Mottola's estate. The wedding, often compared to a royal affair, cost millions and featured an opulence befitting one of the most powerful music moguls in the world. At first, fans saw it as a fairy tale: Mariah, the young ingenue with the 5-octave range, and Tommy, the industry titan who believed in her talent. But the marriage was far from a fairy tale behind closed doors. Mariah later revealed in her memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, that Tommy was deeply controlling, often monitoring her movements, limiting her friendships, and dictating her music and image. She described their Bedford, New York mansion as a golden cage where security guards watched her every move. Although Tommy helped shape her early career with albums like Emotions and Music Box, Mariah felt suffocated creatively and personally. Despite their troubled marriage, Mariah's career flourished during this period. With Tommy's influence at Sony, she enjoyed unparalleled promotional support, leading to massive global success. Songs like Hero and Dream Lover became anthems of the early 90s, and by the time of Daydream 1995, she had firmly established herself as one of the best-selling artists in history. Yet the cost of that success was high. Mariah has said that she felt like she had traded her freedom for fame. By 1997, the cracks in their marriage were impossible to hide. Mariah filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The split was finalized the same year, but the aftermath lingered. Tommy's continued influence at Sony made it difficult for Mariah to fully separate herself professionally. Their post-divorce tensions escalated, particularly around her 2001 album Glitter, which many fans and Mariah herself believe was deliberately sabotaged by Sony leadership. Mariah later said that divorcing Tommy was an act of survival, both personally and creatively. She went on to reinvent herself musically, embracing hip-hop collaborations and exploring greater artistic freedom. Her albums, Butterfly 1997 and The Emancipation of Mimi 2005, reflected not only her evolution as an artist but also her liberation from the constraints of her first marriage. Tommy, for his part, has since admitted that he may have been controlling, but defended himself by claiming he was simply focused on protecting Mariah's career. In his 2013 memoir, Hitmaker, he acknowledged their marriage was wrong and inappropriate, though he insisted he always wanted the best for her. Do you think Mariah's rise to superstardom would have happened without Tommy's guidance, or was her talent so undeniable that she would have made it anyway? Ultimately, Mariah Carey and Tommy Mottola's marriage is remembered as both a launching pad and a prison, the relationship that helped catapult her to superstardom, but also one that nearly broke her spirit. Their divorce marked a turning point that allowed Mariah to reclaim her voice, not just as a singer, but as a woman determined to live on her own terms. Rihanna and Hassan Jameel. Rihanna and Hassan Jameel's relationship was one of the most high-profile yet low-key romances in recent celebrity history. Unlike many of her past relationships that played out under the glare of paparazzi and headlines, Rihanna chose to keep her time with Hassan, a Saudi billionaire businessman, relatively private. Hassan, deputy president and vice chairman of his family's company, Abdul Latif Jameel, one of the biggest Toyota distributors in the world, was ranked among the wealthiest men in the Middle East. When news broke in 2017 that Rihanna was dating him, the story captivated fans worldwide. The global music icon and fashion mogul paired with an ultra-wealthy heir from Saudi Arabia. For nearly 3 years, their relationship unfolded largely away from cameras. They were occasionally spotted together vacationing in Ibiza, attending Lakers games, or enjoying intimate dinners in Europe and the US. But Rihanna never flaunted the romance in the media. This privacy was intentional. After years of public scrutiny, she valued keeping her personal life sacred. Hassan, equally private, fit perfectly into this dynamic. The rare glimpses of them together often showed a relaxed Rihanna, smiling and carefree, which delighted her fans. Despite the secrecy, those close to Rihanna said the relationship was serious. Friends noted that Hassan was respectful, supportive, and willing to let Rihanna shine without trying to overshadow her career. Rihanna herself even spoke about being in love during a 2019 Vogue interview, admitting she wanted to be a mother someday. Many began to speculate that Hassan might be the one for her, given how settled and grounded she seemed. However, by January 2020, news broke that Rihanna and Hassan had quietly split after nearly 3 years together. Sources close to the couple explained that their breakup was not explosive, but the result of different lifestyles. Rihanna's world jet-setting performances, fashion launches, and being one of the most visible celebrities on the planet was drastically different from Hassan's more traditional private background. Cultural differences and the challenge of balancing two high-profile lives across continents reportedly made the relationship difficult to sustain. What's striking is that their split was free from scandal. Unlike Rihanna's previous public breakups, particularly with Chris Brown, which involved trauma and global headlines, her separation from Hassan was quiet, dignified, and mature. Both moved on respectfully without public mudslinging or drama. Do you think Rihanna's decision to keep the relationship so private helped protect her heart when it ended? Or did it make the breakup even harder since so much was kept inside? After the breakup, Rihanna continued to focus on her business empire, expanding her Fenty Beauty and Savage x Fenty brands, both of which have made her a billionaire. She also returned to music, surprising the world with her contribution to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever's soundtrack in 2022. Hassan, meanwhile, returned to his discreet life in business, avoiding the spotlight entirely. Ultimately, Rihanna and Hassan Jamil's relationship is remembered as a rare, grounded romance for a superstar whose life is constantly under public scrutiny. Though it ended, it represented a time when Rihanna prioritized privacy, stability, and love on her own terms. Their story stands out in her romantic history as one marked by mutual respect rather than heartbreak, proving that even short-lived relationships can bring peace and growth. Serena Williams and Common. Serena Williams and Common's relationship is one of those high-profile romances that never reached marriage, but remains a memorable chapter in both of their lives. Serena, the tennis legend, with 23 Grand Slam singles titles, and Common, the Grammy and Oscar-winning rapper, actor, and activist, began dating around 2007. Their pairing fascinated fans because it brought together two powerhouses from completely different worlds, sports and music, yet both shared a passion for excellence, artistry, and social impact. The two were first linked publicly after being spotted together at events and later confirmed their relationship through candid interviews and appearances. Common even appeared in Serena's workout video in 2007, sparking further buzz about their romance. For a while, they were one of the most talked-about Black celebrity couples admired for their individual accomplishments and their chemistry as a couple. But balancing their demanding careers proved difficult. Serena was traveling year-round on the tennis circuit, often training intensely and competing globally, while Common was deeply committed to his music acting projects and activism. Their schedules rarely aligned, and the physical distance often kept them apart for long stretches. By 2010, the couple decided to part ways, citing lifestyle differences and the pressures of maintaining a relationship while both were constantly in the public eye. What made their breakup stand out, however, was the maturity with which they handled it. In interviews, Common described Serena as a great person and admitted that their split was largely due to timing rather than a lack of love or respect. Serena, for her part, avoided negativity, choosing not to speak ill of him and focusing instead on her tennis career. Unlike many celebrity splits that spiral into drama, theirs remained amicable, with both continuing to support each other publicly even after the romance ended. Interestingly, Common has spoken candidly in later years about how deeply Serena impacted his life. In a 2015 interview, he admitted he had a hard time letting go of their relationship, suggesting that Serena had been one of his most meaningful partners. He credited their time together with helping him grow emotionally and understand the sacrifices required in a high-profile relationship. Serena, meanwhile, went on to focus on her tennis legacy and later found lasting love with Reddit co-founder Alexis Ohanian, marrying him in 2017 and welcoming a daughter, Olympia, the same year. Their relationship also sparked discussions about the challenges of maintaining love when both partners are global icons in their own right. For Serena, who was laser-focused on her career during her peak years, and Common, who was equally devoted to his craft, compromise proved difficult. Do you think if they had met later in life after Serena's tennis dominance and Common's busiest years, they might have lasted? Or were they always destined to remain a fleeting but powerful connection? In the end, Serena Williams and Common's romance is remembered not for scandal, but for its grace. Though they never married and eventually went their separate ways, their relationship highlighted the humanity behind two of the most celebrated figures in sports and entertainment. It was a story of mutual respect, growth, and the bittersweet truth that sometimes love, no matter how genuine, cannot overcome timing. Serena Williams and Alexis Ohanian. Serena Williams and Alexis Ohanian's marriage is still intact. They have not divorced. In fact, they are often celebrated as one of the most inspiring love stories in recent celebrity culture, blending sports greatness with tech entrepreneurship. Serena, the tennis icon with 23 Grand Slam singles titles, met Alexis Ohanian, co-founder of Reddit, in May 2015 at a hotel in Rome. Their first encounter was charmingly casual. Alexis sat at a table near Serena by the pool, and she jokingly told him there was a rat nearby to try and scare him off. Instead of leaving, Alexis stayed and struck up a conversation, sparking a romance that surprised many as they came from completely different worlds. By December 2016, Alexis proposed to Serena in the very city where they first met, Rome, at the same hotel. A month later, Serena announced she was pregnant, and in September 2017, they welcomed their daughter Alexis Olympia Ohanian Jr. Just weeks later, in November 2017, they married in a star-studded ceremony in New Orleans. The guest list included Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Kim Kardashian, and Anna Wintour, underscoring the couple's place at the intersection of sports, tech, and entertainment. Their marriage has been widely admired for its mutual respect and balance. Alexis has been vocal about supporting Serena's career and advocating for women in sports and business. He famously stepped down from the Reddit board in 2020 and requested to be replaced by a black candidate, citing his desire to contribute to racial justice, a decision he said was inspired in part by his daughter and Serena. Serena, meanwhile, has often praised Alexis for being a present father and partner, noting how his willingness to embrace her world has strengthened their bond. As of today, they are still together and thriving, raising their two daughters. Their second child, Adira River Ohanian, was born in 2023. Their marriage has not ended, so they do not belong in a list of celebrity divorces. Janet Jackson and Wissam Almana. Janet Jackson and Wissam Almana's marriage was one of the most surprising and closely watched celebrity unions of the 2010s, not only because it paired an American pop icon with a Qatari billionaire, but also because of the cultural contrasts that made their relationship both fascinating and fragile. Janet, already a global superstar with a legacy of hits like That's the Way Love Goes Together Again and Rhythm Nation, met Wissam, a businessman estimated to be worth over $1 billion in 2010. Their connection was immediate, and unlike Janet's past public romances, this one was shrouded in privacy from the very beginning. In 2012, Janet confirmed that she and Wissam had quietly married in a private ceremony the previous year. Their marriage was notable for its discretion. There were no lavish televised weddings, no endless paparazzi spreads. Instead, Janet embraced a quieter, more domestic lifestyle in the Middle East, away from Hollywood's glare. Fans noticed that she stepped back from the spotlight during this time, attending fewer public events and living a much more reserved life compared to her earlier decades of superstardom. In January 2017, at the age of 50, Janet gave birth to their son, Isa Almana. For Janet, who had long expressed a desire for motherhood, it was a dream fulfilled. She praised Wissam publicly as a supportive and loving husband, and their family life initially appeared serene. Yet behind the scenes, tensions were building. Cultural and lifestyle differences became increasingly difficult to bridge. Reports suggested that Wissam's conservative views clashed with Janet's independent spirit. Friends of the singer later hinted that she felt stifled and isolated, much as she had during her first marriage to music executive James DeBarge decades earlier. Only months after giving birth, Janet announced her separation from Wissam in April 2017. The news shocked fans who were still celebrating her entry into motherhood. Sources close to Janet revealed that she had grown weary of the restrictions she felt in her marriage and wanted to reclaim her independence. Wissam, on the other hand, reportedly hoped the marriage could survive, but ultimately respected her decision. The divorce proceedings that followed were both complex and highly scrutinized. With Wissam's immense wealth and Janet's own fortune, financial settlements became a major focus of speculation. Some media outlets reported that Janet could receive as much as $200 million under a prenuptial agreement if the marriage lasted 5 years, which it did since they were married in 2012 and separated in 2017. While neither Janet nor Wissam confirmed these details, the rumors fueled debates about whether finances played a role in the timing of their split. Custody of their son Isa was also a sensitive issue. Janet requested primary custody, citing her desire to raise him in a stable and supportive environment. While details of the custody arrangement remain private, Janet has since been seen frequently with Isa, balancing motherhood with her return to touring and music. Wissam has also been described as a devoted father, with both parents working to co-parent respectfully, despite their differences. Do you think Janet's decision to walk away reflected her determination to protect her independence? Or was it more about shielding her child from a potentially restrictive environment? In the end, Janet Jackson and Wissam Almana's marriage is remembered as a union that brought her long-desired motherhood, but also underscored her lifelong pattern of resisting control. Though it ended in divorce, it gave Janet one of her greatest joys, her son, and reminded fans that even in her 50s, she was still capable of making bold choices for her happiness. Their story highlights the complexity of love across cultures, wealth, and fame, proving that even the most private relationships can unravel under the weight of irreconcilable differences. Rick James and Tanya Hijazi. Rick James and Tanya Hijazi's marriage was as tumultuous and fiery as the music career that made Rick a funk legend. Rick, the self-proclaimed super freak of R&B and funk, was already known for his electrifying performances, wild lifestyle, and battles with substance abuse long before he met Tanya, a young aspiring actress and model. Their relationship began in the early 1990s when Rick's career was on the decline, but his personal life was making just as many headlines as his music once did. Tanya entered his world during a period of chaos, and their romance quickly grew into something intense, volatile, and ultimately destructive. By 1996, Rick and Tanya were married, but their relationship was already marked by turbulence. At the time, Rick was facing serious legal and personal troubles. He had developed a notorious reputation for heavy drug use and erratic behavior, and Tanya was often pulled into the storm. Together, they had a son, Tasman James, who became the focal point of their marriage, and one of the few constants in an otherwise unstable relationship. The most infamous chapter of their time together came in 1993, even before they officially married, when Rick and Tanya were arrested and charged with assaulting 2 women during a week-long crack binge. The allegations shocked fans and the music industry, leading to Rick being sentenced to prison in 1994. Tanya, who was implicated in the crimes as well, served time herself. These events placed their relationship under intense scrutiny, turning what might have been a private marital struggle into a public scandal. Despite these dark episodes, Rick and Tanya tried to maintain their marriage after his release. Rick credited Tanya with being a stabilizing force at times, though their relationship remained volatile. The pressures of Rick's addiction, combined with the weight of his fading career, made their union increasingly difficult to sustain. By 2002, the marriage ended in divorce, with irreconcilable differences cited as the official reason. Tanya walked away from the relationship, determined to rebuild her life and protect their son from the chaos that had defined much of his early childhood. After the divorce, Tanya kept a relatively low profile, occasionally stepping into the entertainment world, but mostly focusing on raising Tasman. Rick, on the other hand, attempted a comeback in the early 2000s, riding a wave of renewed interest in his music, thanks to younger artists sampling his hits. His collaboration with Eddie Murphy on Party All the Time and the enduring popularity of Super Freak kept his name alive, but his health and personal struggles caught up with him. Rick died in 2004 at the age of 56 with drugs found in his system, though his death was officially attributed to natural causes. Do you think Tanya stayed with Rick as long as she did because of genuine love and loyalty? Or was she caught in the whirlwind of his fame and destructive lifestyle? Ultimately, Rick James and Tanya Hijazi's marriage is remembered as a story of passion, scandal, and tragedy. It was a union forged in the heat of fame and addiction, producing both a son and a legacy of controversy. While it ended in divorce, their time together reflected the extremes of Rick's life, moments of love overshadowed by chaos, and a partnership that became as infamous as the man himself. Chaka Khan and Richard Holland. Chaka Khan, known as the Queen of Funk, and her second husband, Richard Holland, lived through one of the most turbulent marriages in black music history. By the time they married in 1976, Chaka was already a rising star, having gained fame as the fiery lead singer of Rufus, delivering hits like Tell Me Something Good and Sweet Thing. Richard Holland, a Chicago-based musician and illustrator, entered her life at a time when she was searching for stability amid her fast-growing fame. Their union, however, quickly became strained. Chaka herself has admitted that she was never truly in love with Richard, but rather felt pressured to marry him. She recalled in interviews that Rufus guitarist Tony Maiden had threatened to leave the band if she didn't settle down with Richard, believing marriage would help her focus and calm her wild lifestyle. In truth, the opposite happened. Chaka, a free spirit at her core, felt stifled in the marriage and resented the restrictions it seemed to impose on her independence. The couple welcomed a son, Damian Holland, in 1979. While motherhood brought Chaka joy, it also added more responsibility to her already chaotic life. Her music career was soaring. Rufus won Grammys, and she launched her solo career with the smash hit I'm Every Woman. But behind the scenes, her personal world was unraveling. She struggled with substance abuse, battled depression, and clashed frequently with Richard. Their fights were so heated that they became infamous in industry circles, with friends and colleagues recalling their constant arguments. By 1980, the marriage had collapsed and Chaka filed for divorce. The separation was bitter, and Chaka later admitted that it was one of the darkest times of her life. She not only faced the collapse of her marriage, but also the challenge of being a single mother while wrestling with addiction and the pressures of fame. Richard sought custody of their son at one point, arguing that Chaka's lifestyle was too unstable, though she ultimately retained custody. Do you think Chaka's decision to marry without genuine love doomed the relationship from the start? Or could it have survived if both had been more prepared for fame's pressures? In the years that followed, their relationship remained tense. Chaka focused on her career, releasing iconic albums throughout the 1980s and 1990s, while also working to get clean from drugs and alcohol. Richard stayed mostly out of the spotlight, but was periodically mentioned in the press, particularly when controversies involving their son Damian arose years later. Despite the bitterness of their breakup, both acknowledged that their marriage had produced Damian, who remained a link between them even after the divorce. For Chaka, her marriage to Richard Holland became a cautionary tale about rushing into commitment for the wrong reasons. She has said that while she cherishes her children, she regrets not taking more time to truly understand herself and what she wanted from a partner before marrying. Richard, meanwhile, rarely speaks publicly about their time together, leaving Chaka's perspective as the primary record of their tumultuous years. Ultimately, Chaka Khan and Richard Holland's marriage is remembered not as a story of romance, but as a reflection of the struggles many celebrities face balancing love, fame, and personal demons. It was a relationship born of outside pressures rather than mutual passion, and it ended in bitterness, but it also became part of the complex journey that shaped Chaka into the resilient powerhouse artist she remains today. Love, fame, and fortune often come wrapped in glitter, but as we've seen, not even the brightest stars can escape heartbreak. From music legends to sports icons, these marriages remind us that success doesn't guarantee lasting love. Some ended in chaos, others in quiet separation, yet all left unforgettable marks on history. But here's the real question. Do you believe celebrity marriages fail because of fame's relentless pressure? Or are these breakups just proof that love is fragile no matter who you are? Share your thoughts. Below this is Legends of Black Excellence, and the debate starts.